John. Hello, John.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. How are you doing today?
Hello. Is it me you're looking for?
I mean, at this point, I'm not picky. I'm looking for whoever wants to come here and talk with me about some video games on the Rage Select podcast. That's not true. John's not just anybody. You're like my primary co-host for the Rage Select podcast.
Yeah, come in like once every couple weeks.
I mean, what are we like 260 something? How many of those do you think you've been on? Half?
I don't know.
More than half?
Oh, not half.
Not half?
Probably maybe a third.
Okay. All right. Well, more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Welcome back, John.
Yeah.
And welcome back to the audience. And welcome back, everybody, to the Rage Select podcast right here on Rage Select. And I am Jeff.
I am the proverbial John.
The one I say your name like 100 times. So, and we've got a jam-packed week full of craziness. A lot of stuff happened.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happened this week. But before we get to the stuff, John, how you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You been up to anything interesting in the last week?
Beat Spider-Man.
Hey, there you go. What'd you think?
So I love that game. That game's great. I'm still I beat it. I'm still playing it.
Yeah.
Until yesterday, but I stopped playing it yesterday so I could play Valkyria Chronicles 4.
Did you get all them? You do get a gold medal on all those Taskmaster challenges?
No. I'm actually that's where I'm stuck on is because I need a bunch of challenge coin tokens so that I can unlock the rest of the shit in the game.
Yep.
And I think I've got one gadget I haven't unlocked. I've got a couple of upgrades for another gadget I haven't unlocked, and then that all require challenge tokens.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then I think I've got 4 or 5 costumes to unlock. One of which is the one for finding all the secret landmark pictures.
Yep.
I'm trying to do it without looking it up.
Oh,
I'm about 32 landmarks in.
Isn't there a thing that you can equip that just shows them to you on the map?
Well, it doesn't show them to you on the map unless they're within a certain radius of you.
Oh, okay.
So I've got that equipped.
Yeah.
I'm about 31 of 50 in.
Yeah.
So that's and plus web swinging is so fucking is great. And whenever the crime thing happens, I go and save people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I don't care that I've done it a million times. It's fucking fun as shit. It's a really good game.
Yeah. Let me ask you here. Let's cut to the heart of the matter. Would you say, and I hate it when people put me on the spot like this, so I don't want to hold you to it. Would you say that right now, Spider-Man game of the year for you?
I don't know if it's game of the year, but it's definitely the best Spider-Man game ever made.
Okay.
And I also like the fact that whoever is in charge of the video games portion of Marvel has come out and basically said, yeah, consider this Spider-Man game the Iron Man of the video games franchise.
Good.
So it's basically the Iron Man of the where Iron Man is to the kickoff for good Marvel Cinematic Universe movies.
Yep.
This Spider-Man game is basically that for video games.
All right.
So they've we're probably we're not talking about Spider-Man 2. It's probably gonna happen, but we've got other stuff that's being worked on.
They left a bunch of hooks. I mean, they didn't use it all up.
Yeah.
There's plenty.
But there's a complete story.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And there's
definitely.
also DLC coming.
Yep.
Which I'm excited for. So I got that, and then on Tuesday I went out and bought the collector's edition of Valkyria Chronicles 4, which I started playing last night.
Did it come with a dog with a hat on?
No, it came with a tiny tank, replica tank, and a controller skin of the dog that you can put on your controller.
Okay.
And then an art book that's made to look like what's his name's the main character's journal.
Oh yeah, it says that stupid thing on the front of it.
Yeah, it will be done.
It will be done. Yeah.
And then there's it also has 2 DLC things. One of which includes a mission with the characters from the first game.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then more Eddie missions, which is a thing from the first game. And then
it's interesting the way that game should probably be called Valkyria Chronicles 2, considering the number of people who played 2, which was PSP only, right?
Yeah.
And then 3, which was never in the United States.
Yeah.
So I feel like most people have experience with 1, and then maybe the spin-offs, but even those don't.
Well, there was only one spin-off. There was just the Valkyria Revolution or whatever the fuck it was called.
Oh, okay. So basically, this should be called just 2.
Yeah, but I'm really hoping they release 2 and 3 on as a HD remaster on PS4 and Switch and everything. I really want them to do that.
Yeah.
I think everyone's kind of hoping that they do that, mainly so that 3 can get a release. Because if I'm not mistaken, the storyline for 3, like 4, takes place concurrently with
1.
With 1.
Okay.
And then 2 is the only one that's actually in a sequel because it takes place after the events of 1.
Okay. Well, I don't know. We've seen Sega's devotion to the Yakuza series really flourish in putting out the old version. So maybe.
Outside of that, just been catching up on TV shows, watching movies. I watched an old movie called Wolf Guy.
Yeah.
So I gotta explain this. Amanda and I, we go to local Fry's Electronics here. And we walk around their DVD section. We peruse the DVD section, and they have a lot of movies you can't get anywhere else.
Sure.
Specifically from Arrow Video, which is they're kind of like Shout Factory, but they do a little bit more obscure. They're like a weird Criterion / Shout Factory hybrid.
I like the idea that like 90% of the people that I know wouldn't even know what Shout Factory is, and it's like Arrow. They're like Shout Factory, but even more obscure.
Yeah. But they're like the Criterion edition of like what Shout Factory would normally release.
Okay.
And so Fry's Electronics has a shit ton of those movies from them, whereas other stores like Best Buy and Target and Walmart and whatever don't really carry those. And we always saw this one called Wolf Guy, and so it just didn't even look at the cover, just saw the title, made both Amanda and I laugh, and we just kind of look at each other and go, Wolf Guy, yeah. And every time we go to the store, we always kind of point it out, laugh at it or whatever, not really looking at it. And we went to Fry's like this last week, and their Blu-ray section shrunk by half.
Oh, yeah?
And like a lot of the stuff they carried, they don't carry anymore.
So you realized it might be your last chance to get Wolf Guy.
So we bought it, and we watched it. It was fucking great.
Okay.
Apparently it's based on a manga from Japan. It's starring Sonny Chiba.
Okay.
During the height of his career, it was really good. It's a really good movie.
Go watch Wolf Guy.
Yeah,
apparently.
I think the full title of it in Japan is like Wolf Guy Enraged Lycanthrope.
Alrighty.
Like is the full title of the movie, and it's like anything.
1975.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's it. That's
okay.
You're looking at a trailer for it.
Wolf Guy, 1975.
We went in completely blind. Didn't look up trailers. Didn't look up anything.
Yeah.
And just fucking went and watched it. It was great.
Looks like a real like I was on the One of Us, the Gathering thing, and they were doing like obscure movies, like what's an obscure movie or what's a cult hit that you think everybody should watch. And it doesn't remind me of it because the trailer, but I was like, my pick was Wild Zero because I feel like not enough people have watched Wild Zero and it's fucking amazing. This looks fucking amazing.
Yeah,
and
it's got
I've
this
never
really
heard of it before.
awesome soundtrack. Like it's weird because it's got like this kind of almost disco soundtrack, like disco exploitation soundtrack to it that gets supremely loud when someone is getting killed. But then the second the character dies, this music just stops dead mid note. Stops dead and it's just completely quiet. It's so fucking amazing.
All right.
Also has some weird camera angles and nice transitions and I really enjoyed it. Like I actually
Wolf Guy Enraged Lycanthrope.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like that's like the biggest thing for Amanda and I is like we were like, all right, we've made jokes about this. Let's buy it, and we'll see if it lives up to the hype that we've built up in our heads.
Okay,
and it totally did.
All right, check out Wolf Guy. Looks great. I mean, just go watch the trailer on YouTube. Looks great.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I have as much gushing praise to throw on Maniac, the new Netflix series, but I did watch it. I was looking for something to watch last week, and it came out, and it seemed to be, it's always you're always rolling the dice with Netflix, right?
Yeah,
could be good, could be garbage. This one turned out to be really good.
That's good to know.
It was like
that one's on my list.
Yeah,
of my long list of stuff I've got to catch up on.
Jonah Hill, Emma Stone, Justin Theroux. I don't remember what her name is, but she was so striking. The lady that played. You remember? Did you ever watch Ex Machina?
No.
Okay. There's an Asian lady that what is her name? Sonoya Mizuno, who plays like one of the characters in there, but she doesn't even speak or really do very much.
Okay.
And here she has a very large part, very, very cool. The whole thing takes place in kind of an alternative universe where it's like it seems like it's the 80s, but things are they're very just weird. Like in the very first episode, they introduce the concept of a thing called an ad buddy, where like if you don't have enough money to pay for a thing, you can say I want to pay with an ad buddy, and then a person will show up with a bunch of ad copy that was written for you, and you're paying by basically letting them go with you, sit with you while you eat, ride on the subway with you, and just read commercials to you. And it's this
is a comedy.
It's I don't know that I would call it a comedy. It's more
like a dark comedy,
dramedy, dark comedy, type of thing. It wasn't super funny in a lot of places, but it was fascinating. It was one of those just like weird things where you're watching and you're just like, what the fuck is going to happen in this show? What is going on even in here? And then, it had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And it was only, I think it was like 13 episodes, but I was never really, I didn't really feel it.
I thought it was like I thought it said it was like it's only like a, when I read it, it was like a limited series event. Like it was like only like it had very little number.
Oh, of episodes? I'm pretty sure it's 13. Because let's see, episodes... 10.
I thought it was at least 10.
Yeah.
Or at the most 10. But
again, I'm going to say this you and I were talking about Jessica Jones season 2. In all the Netflix things, original things that I've watched, I think 10 for an hour is a good number because it keeps them from having to like put filler in, right? Like I never really felt like I was watching an episode where I'm like, oh, well, this is just they had to pad out the number that they had. It's like they had 10, they made 10, it was good. And like everything, if you have Netflix, like watch the first episode, and by the end of it, you'll either be like, oh, maybe I want to see the rest of this, or, meh, not for me. And what will you have lost? 1 hour of your time and nothing else.
Yeah.
You could lose a lot more than an hour of your time.
Yes.
For example, you could be forced to shutter or to lay off like 250 employees.
Jesus.
And just gut your company to the bone like Telltale.
Yeah.
Yowza.
They're shutting down.
Yeah, they are. So last
they released
week,
like 1 or 2 episodes of the Walking Dead final season, and then like, nope, we're shutting down. Never mind.
So okay, we're gonna go into that because there's actually some stuff with that. But like, all right, so Telltale laid off huge number of people. I think it was like 250, 275, something like that.
They only kept like
they kept 25
people on staff just to foresee the closing down of the company.
No. They're still under contract to finish their Minecraft story mode thing for Netflix. So they are finishing whatever that is, which I don't even know what that is. I don't think it's the game. I think it was like a show or something.
Oh, maybe.
But Stranger Things canceled. The Wolf Among Us canceled.
Canceled.
It just basically the thing. Everything else is canceled except they're trying to figure out a way to finish The Walking Dead, the final season.
Well, they're going to hand it off to. They're hoping that one of their partner companies or friend companies can take over and release the rest of it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think that. Okay. I don't know about you, but to me it seems like Telltale hit on a thing that was good and bankable when they put out the first Walking Dead season.
Yeah,
which wasn't even really the first of the Telltale games. I mean, they had like the 3 seasons of Sam and Max and Monkey Island and Jurassic Park.
I think it was the one. While it wasn't the first game they did, it was definitely the one that put them on the map.
Yeah, and it was like at the right time, something interesting. I always thought that it got a little more credit than it may have deserved for like writing, considering that once you got to the end of The Walking Dead season 1, you saw the diamond structure where you could get into different scenarios, but like there was no way to like save Person X. Person X is going to die no matter what you do. It was very clever in the way that it made you feel like there would be a lot of different routes that you could go, even though they mostly just kind of started at the same place and then ended at the same place. But then, at least from my perspective, because I feel like Wolf Among Us is like really a cult game. Like the people
it was critically received. It was. I think it did better than most of their previous titles.
Yeah.
It didn't do as well as Walking Dead.
Right.
It was critically well received, but I don't think it did what they wanted it to do.
And I think that from my point of view, the people that like it really.
Oh no, it was good. Wolf Among Us was really good.
Yeah. And then they had Tales from the Borderlands, which I hear was very, very good as well.
That one, I don't think that one did as well either.
Yeah, Game of Thrones. I feel like
they were hoping that Game of Thrones season was going to be the next Walking Dead, because I think they knew the return on demands for, or return, whatever you call it, on investment for Walking Dead was starting to hit the down. Like Walking Dead is on its way out.
Right.
And
while the TV series probably has enough shambolic momentum to continue forward for another 2 or 3 seasons.
Maybe not.
Oh, yeah. The main issue and the reason that I wanted to bring this up is because, and I'm not happy. I'm never happy when this sort of thing happens.
Yeah, no, it's.
But Telltale had essentially been making the same game over and over again for a long time. Even when they got to Batman, like they had some quick time events and they were okay, but it was always very much a similar structure. And it was like Dynasty Warriors, right? Where it's like you really, really need to be invested in Game of Thrones, right? So if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, you might play the Game of Thrones series. But I was curious about the crossover. Like, were there people that just were fans of every single Telltale game that came out? The Guardians of the Galaxy and the Minecraft story mode, because it seems like they were casting a wide net. But then,
well, also they were. You got to remember, like, not counting, like we said, we point out that like the Stranger Things and Wolf Among Us 2, and they had announced like 3 or 4 other licensed franchised games.
Yeah.
That I can't even remember the titles of. Like, it really seemed like for a while there, every week they were announcing, we acquired the rights to this game and we're going to make a game based on it. We acquired the rights to this game and or this franchise, and we're going to make a game based on it. Like, I feel like a lot of their problem is they overspent on licensing rights.
It seems like to me that they cast the net too wide instead of making a really, like, I think that I would have rather have seen them evolve their formula more. Like, even by the time we got to the last season of The Walking Dead, the characters still kind of had this like canned herky-jerky motion. Like, the art style was better, but it wasn't like supremely better.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a quantum leap forward. And it's like, well, you've been making these Walking Dead games with fucking Clementine for what, like 5, 6, 7, 8 years now?
Yeah, I think the final season is the 5th one.
Maybe. I don't even know, because it was like the first one. And
it's either the 4th or 5th one.
400 days, and then season 2. Yeah. In any case, I think that they may have banked a little bit too hard on the idea that, like, if you just keep throwing more chum in the water, eventually you're going to hit another Walking Dead season 1 without realizing that, like, the formula for The Walking Dead season 1 was unique, but you just can't keep doing that same formula over and over again and then expect.
I think the closest they had to getting a Walking Dead was the Batman game, but I don't think it even hit the Walking Dead season 1 numbers.
Yeah.
Walking
Dead season 1 was like game of the year for a lot of people.
Yeah. I know the Guardians of the Galaxy game tanked sales wise.
Yeah.
It did not do well. From what I remember reading.
Mm-hmm.
And even before then, it was not reviewed very well either towards the later half of it. But even before Walking Dead, you got to remember that they weren't making great games. That Jurassic Park game they made was garbage. The Back to the Future game was garbage.
See, it's weird because I get real conflicting reports about the Back to the Future game.
The first 3 episodes are actually decent, and then the rest of it is garbage, because what they did is, so they basically gave the first 2 or 3 episodes to their A team, and then they started working on Walking Dead and pulled the A team to work on Walking Dead and gave it to their B team.
Okay.
And their B team is not anywhere. That was the other problem, is that they had 2 teams work, at least at the time, for a long while. They had 2 teams. They had their A team and their B team. Their A team would start a game unless it was like Walking Dead, in which their A team would be on it the whole time.
Right.
But at some point they would hand it off, the franchise off, to the B team so that the A team could make the next big one.
Right.
And the B team, not anywhere near as good as the A team.
Okay. I also think that there's probably a little bit of fatigue in the episodic nature, right? I think that when that first came out, it was really interesting. But I mean, do you remember like 2 years ago when like episodic gaming was like the big hot buzzy thing because of The Walking Dead, and then like, I don't know, Life is Strange, like Hitman was forced to do it, and I think that Hitman worked well, but like Hitman obviously wasn't designed for that from the onset. I actually think that Hitman proves that you could release a game episodically, one level at a time, if it has replay value, and it could be very good. But like now, how many new? I mean, I guess Life is Strange 2 just started their
Life is Strange 2 just started its thing, and there's a couple of others,
but they're not as. I mean, like I felt like for a while everybody was just like, oh yeah, it's going to be great. It'll be like once a month, and it's one of those things where people get really excited about it, but then the result is like, bro, I don't want to spend 6 months beating a game. Like I want to just sit down and play the game and beat it, and I don't know. But it
sucks. It sucks that it got shut down.
It does suck. Yep.
But and I know that there's a whole bunch of stuff that we're probably going to talk about, so I'm not going to bring it up because I'll wait till you bring it up. But there's a whole bunch of backlash with it as well.
Well, the biggest one is there's a class action lawsuit.
That's what I was actually referring to.
Yeah.
And I was trying to be vague about it because I didn't know if that was next or not.
I don't know if you've actually looked into this, but it's really kind of interesting.
Oh yeah. No,
in California, where it's based, it's like, if you have a company with more than, I believe it's 75 employees, you have to give them a 60-day notice that you're going to be terminating them. You can't just be like, doors locked, suckers, bye.
Yeah.
And then like they're all gone.
And if I'm also not mistaken, if it's like less than a certain amount, you're required to at least give 2 weeks notice. Like there is no situation, like it is actually not legal to just have everyone walk in and be like, you're fired as of today, get out.
Right.
And also, there was the fact that apparently some people didn't get severance.
Yeah,
like only a small handful of people actually got severance packages, and they weren't even that much.
Yeah, I mean that combined with the fact that we also have these reports that apparently Telltale love their crunch times towards putting stuff out. It just doesn't sound like it was really a great place to work, to be honest. But so anyway, a few. The employees have banded together and they're bringing a lawsuit against the company, basically to try to get them to pay out the 60 days. Like the fallout for when you break this sort of law is that you then must pay the 60 days notice that you should have given them in employment to the employees, plus interest.
Yeah.
So,
and this would go to every employee that got fired, and not just the people that are part of the class action lawsuit.
Yeah. So 225 people times whatever their salary for 60 days plus interest.
Yeah.
Probably a chunk of change that it doesn't sound like Telltale can afford to have at this point. So, yeah. And then finally, on this particularly sad story, it appears that at least for right now, The Walking Dead, the final season of The Walking Dead has been kind of delisted from good old games, like paused, and until I guess they probably want to figure out whether they're going to be able to finish it. I kind of have the question of if they can't finish it. I bought the season pass for the final season of The Walking Dead. You gonna give me half my money back, Telltale? Considering I only got 2 out of the 4 episodes that you planned, like.
And that's also part of the problem with episodic gaming, because that they're not even the first game to do that. There's another game on Steam that I can't remember what it was. It was like Bullets and Blood or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember the title of it off the top of my head, but
I think what you're talking about. It's
like they only got it was supposed to be like this noirish kind of this game. It was supposed to be, I want to say it was supposed to be like a 6-episode series. They only released 2 and then didn't release any others.
Yeah.
And apparently some people bought like a pack to get all of it.
Sure.
And then when they bet, can I get my money back? They're like, no, because we don't have any money.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the problem with buying stuff sight unseen.
And it's like, well, it's like, I remember the first episode of it being really good. Like hearing like really good things about the first episode, and then they just blew their budget. And
I mean, we've seen it happen on Kickstarter before. I think that this is that in and of itself is a good lesson for please do not buy things before they exist. Like I know that, I'm not a fan of pre-orders. I'm not a fan of season passes. I'm not a fan of any of that stuff. But you can always wait until it's out in order to get it.
Yeah.
Like there's no. I mean, if you want the collector's edition and there's a limited number, okay, right, whatever. But like, I cannot fathom why you would need to buy the season pass of a thing until all that content is out, because we've seen so many examples of when things they go wrong, or or even just when the season pass content sucks. Right? When you bought the season pass and 2 of the 4 things that they promised you just ended up being skin packs and challenge arenas, and like they suck. So
yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, speaking of stuff that sucks, let's talk about Devil May Cry 5.
Why does it suck?
Oh, did you not hear this week the news?
No, I did not hear this.
So at TGS, some GameStop people were playing Devil May Cry 5, and they went into the store and they realized that, like, what? You can buy upgrades with the red orbs in the game, or you can spend real-world money to get red orbs and just buy character upgrades with your own damn money.
So microtransactions.
Microtransactions, yes, indeed. Right. So I will spare y'all any. Let's just say this: there was some talk with, I believe, it was the director. He gave the standard company line, which was like, "Well, this is just here for people who would like to save time and don't want to blah blah blah. You can do whatever you want to. Hey, kid, hey, rich guy, do you not have enough time to play Devil May Cry 5? You just want to max out your powers at the beginning and break the whole game? Well, hey, now you can. So, yeah. So I have a question. My main question is, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, right? The second one?
Yeah.
When that came out, they would give you the ability to buy the Praxis kits as microtransactions. Like Square shoved that in there, right? You can totally buy the upgrade points. But when you played the game didn't seem like it was tuned. It seemed like they added that in at the last second, right? To be like, if you would like to break the difficulty curve of this game by just buying your way to the top of the tech tree, fucking go for it. We're not going to stop you. However, most of the time when this stuff happens, it's because the game itself, that the game has subtle tuning to start to make things harder and harder and harder.
To make you incentivized to break.
Right.
Yeah, to buy it.
To make it to where it's like, well, I mean, like, I don't think this is going to be as bad as Battlefront 2, but the Battlefront 2 idea of like, well, you know, if you grind for, when Battlefront 2 came out, the person did the math on it where it's like, well, if you play the game for 40 hours, you can get Darth Vader unlocked. And it's just like, well, fuck, dude, that's a long goddamn time to unlock Darth Vader. It could even be higher than that. I don't remember the number. So this really opens up the question to me about like whether some Capcom executive is like, you got to have some kind of dick-ass microtransactions, put them in there, and they're like, well, what if we just let them buy red orbs? But the game itself is still tuned that if I play it, because you mentioned, and I'm cribbing off of a Jim Sterling video here, but he made a really good point. Spider-Man. Yeah. About how like the upgrades in Spider-Man seem very organic, right? Yeah. They just like they come along. And then the game keeps kind of rising the challenge so that you're not able to rest on your laurels, and it gets more difficult, but then you get more powers. The way that any game should be as upgrades. So if this is like that, but then they just give you the ability to break the game a la Deus Ex, I don't have any problem with that. The problem is that Capcom's been on a roll of doing stuff that I like recently, but I will never forget that Capcom also has a fucking evil side to it. Real
Capcom
dark side.
Is one of those weird companies where they will do a bunch of stuff to get goodwill, and then they'll start doing a few things that suddenly draw fans' ire.
They immediately squander that goodwill.
And then they immediately go back to getting the goodwill again.
They're like the Two-Face of video games.
Like literally they'll wait for you to start praising them like, oh, they're praising us. Quick, do the stuff that they don't like.
Quick, take the ending out of Asura's Wrath and make a DLC.
Yeah. Quick, put all of the DLC on the disc on day one release, but still make them pay for it.
Yep. So I'm really torn about this because, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have as much of a dog in the DMC or the Devil May Cry fight.
Yeah, don't say DMC.
Yeah, don't say DMC. Don't say DMC.
Yeah, because the fans will hate you for it.
But I'm curious to know from the people that are really big fans of Devil May Cry, like, does this turn you off? Because the impression that I get is that the Venn diagram of people that want to play Devil May Cry 5 and people that dislike microtransactions, almost just one circle, right? Like, it's probably some slivers outside of it, but that the people, at least in my opinion, that like the Devil May Cry franchise tend to fancy themselves kind of hardcore, just like, you get in there, like, I need a good action game.
Yeah.
And that those types of people also tend to be the sorts of people who don't seem to like microtransactions. So I'll be interested. Does this mean anything to you? Did you care? Do you care? Did you care?
I don't know if I'm going to play this game.
Okay.
I've been like, there's a part of me that says, it kind of looks cool, but there's nothing I've seen has really been grabbing me.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's a reason why it's not grabbing me. It just hasn't been. Like, I haven't been as hyped about it as I feel as I should be.
Okay.
Because I like the Devil May Cry games. I even love DMC. But I just feel like this one just kind of,
Is it Nero?
It's just not doing it for me.
It's Nero, isn't it?
I don't know if it's Nero.
I gotta get one person who doesn't like Nero. It's like I feel like I have you and Michael and Amanda on the podcast most often. Michael fucking hates DMC. He's in that camp. Amanda doesn't care.
Yeah, she never really played the DMC games.
And now you're wishy-washy on me here. I need
No. I mean, I love DMC is probably my favorite, not counting the first Devil May Cry game.
Right.
Like I really like the first Devil May Cry. 2's also pretty good. But I actually am of the camp of DMC's fucking great.
Yeah.
And people need to get off their high horses because that's a fucking great game with some great level design.
But this one just isn't. I do agree that the marketing has just mostly been like the push of the marketing to me has seemed like, look, Devil May Cry 5, right? Like there hasn't really been anything to like a big grab. It's just been like, you want Devil May Cry game, right? Here's Dante kicking demons.
Yeah. It's like, also, here's Dante on a motorcycle, and the motorcycle is also a weapon. And I'm like, okay, but you're not showing me that. You're just telling press people to tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, they did have a trailer last week that was a little bit more.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I like I said, I don't know. Maybe as we get close, like, it's also one of those things that maybe once we get closer to it and they start doing the hard push for it, maybe suddenly I'll buy into the hype. So, I mean, there's a very good possibility that, like, a month before it comes out, I'll be on this podcast being like, I'm fucking excited for this game. It's going to be so badass.
Yeah.
I could totally be on board for it. But for right now, I'm just like, I don't know. Something about it's just not clicking, and that's not to say it looks bad because I actually think it looks good. I just something's not clicking.
Maybe they need this story trailer, right? Maybe they need the big story trailer that's not a tease and it's not just combat and it's like something to really hook you. Well, no matter if you play it or not, apparently, if you want to play it in 4K, you're going to get that sweet 60 frames per second if you got a PlayStation 4 Pro.
Oh, snap.
So, huzzah! I
don't have a PS4 Pro, so
I do, but I feel like
look who's so special.
I actually think I need to get another one because I think that this one's starting to fuck up a little bit because I've only had it on 24 hours a day for the last 2 years. So
yeah, that's a good possibility.
I don't know if that does anything to it.
You gonna buy that Red Dead Redemption PS4 Pro bundle?
Fuck no. Last thing I want is to look at my console and see any character staring back at me. No, I'm going to get the Nero Collector's Edition.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, I tell you what, if you are going to play Devil May Cry 4 and you need something to play on your PlayStation 4, maybe you want to be playing Fortnite, and now might be a good time because the 6th season has started. We got a couple of trailers for this. One that very much kind of reminded me of like a Blizzard short.
Yeah.
Of the giant purple cube that's been working its way across the map pulls this mansion out of the water up into the air. I like the guy in the Cobra Kai skeleton costume throwing popcorn at his face.
Yeah.
Just a very quick visual gag that was pretty funny. Goddamn is Epic good at this shit. Like they so make me want to play Fortnite even though I don't want to play Fortnite. Like I don't even want to play the single player of Fortnite. I just want to watch. I don't know. And then we had a second one outlining the battle pass where there's going to be the whole theme is darkness. So there's going to be a lot of spooktacular stuff. There's a werewolf costume, like a Red Riding Hood costume. There's kind of a guy like with horse feet. And then pets.
Yeah.
But like,
pets. There's a dog. He looks like a good dog.
Yeah.
There's like a lizard.
Yeah, like a gecko.
There's like a dragon.
Dragon.
But look at that dog.
Look
at that dog. That's a fucking amazing dog.
And they're basically like they're
backpacks essentially.
Yeah, when I was reading that, I was like, "How's this gonna work?" And it's like, "Oh, well, they're in your backpack." And I'm like, "Oh, that's so smart because that means they're looking at the camera while I'm playing. I get to see this dog just like bopping around and being a dog." And I'm like, I want to play Fortnite. I don't want to play Fortnite.
Yeah, well, I don't know if this is the next thing you're going to talk about or not.
Yeah.
But it probably should be, so I'm going to bring it up in case it's not.
You gonna spoil my segues?
Probably.
Yeah.
Because you brought up playing it on the PS4.
I did.
And, a lot of people haven't been playing it on the PS4 lately.
Sure.
For a very specific reason, because Sony were being dicks.
Yeah.
They're just being fucking cockwads.
Yeah.
Because people who played it on PS4, if they tried to play it on another console, they suddenly couldn't sign into their Fortnite account because it was locked to the PS4 because Sony didn't allow crossplay. But if you played it on Xbox and then went to your Switch, you could play it on both. Doesn't matter. And I'm not even talking about playing together, which you could, but you could play on either or.
Yep.
And just be like, oh, I'm going to play it for on my Switch and log into the same account. Couldn't do that with the PS4. Like if you tried to log it, it'd be like, oh, nope, this account can't log into the PS4 because it's locked to other consoles. Sony finally caved.
Yep.
They saw the fact that they were fucking up and that all that money was going to other consoles and they weren't getting none of it and decided to make the changes.
I honestly think that it just became the sort of thing where I don't know if they were losing money, but it seemed to me to be the sort of thing where like the optics just weren't any good and Fortnite's so goddamn popular that like you need to just like let them do this, Sony.
Yeah, I also don't remember what I read, but I actually read some things that when people found out about that whole locking it, the profits from the PS4 version of Fortnite took a huge dip.
Okay, well, maybe so.
So I it may not be. I think it's a combination of that huge dip plus optics, plus the fact that this has happened on 2 other games that have come out on the Sony. One of which the crossplay accidentally got turned on.
Which one was that?
Rocket League.
Oh, right.
The Rocket League, it actually got turned on accidentally for like a day where you could actually play someone on the Xbox One.
Did it?
On the PS4.
Huh.
And
I remember a story where they said that they could turn it on, but I don't remember.
Well, it was, but yeah, there was like another game where or maybe it was the other game that accidentally got turned on, and then Rocket League was like, no, we just Sony don't allow it, and then come to find out it was pure policy. It had we all knew because that one instance of it accidentally getting turned on.
Sure.
That it was all just them being like, we don't want to share console space,
right?
But now they have changed their ways and said we will allow crossplay on Fortnite. We will review for other games later.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't see this as I don't think we should all be waving the banner saying, yay, we won, because I don't know that I mean, if this happens with anything outside of Fortnite, because we actually also heard last week that Fallout 76 will not, at least at launch, have that crossplay. And a lot of that makes a certain amount of sense because they didn't plan for it.
Yeah.
And so, this close to launch, like they're having their beta in October for this.
Yeah.
So taking a hard right turn to integrate a new piece of functionality into your game that late in development, maybe after launch. But I think the writing's on the wall. I mean, I think that if Fortnite is any indication that, eventually...
Yeah, hopefully Rocket League will get it next. Hopefully Minecraft.
Yeah, like the stuff that people want to play multiplayer online.
Hopefully maybe Destiny in the future, or...
I don't think Destiny will because Sony still has that deal to get like content first.
That's a good point.
So...
what was the other thing? There was one other on, like, hopefully...
I could say maybe COD, but I don't know if it would be...
COD would be interesting. I don't think it'll be crossplay, though.
I mean, like maybe between the Xbox One and the PS4, but the Sony also has a deal with Activision, right, for early content.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see. I personally I was thinking.
I think there's
this.
some people that are hoping Anthem is far enough away that it'll have some crossplay.
I've thought about it briefly, and I mean, like, I don't care. I'm not that into online games.
I don't play online games either. So
hey, you know what? I'm happy for all of you people who want to play with your Xbox One friends and your PS4 friends in Fortnite. And I hope that Rocket League, and I hope they do it because I think it's a good move for them to do it, and I like the openness. Personally, though, I'm not up in arms at the fact that they have it turned off because I just like I've never. It would be one thing if like say Fortnite's numbers were low on the PS4 and there needed to be an influx of players, but like I've never had a problem getting into a very full match of Fortnite on the PS4. I've never had a problem getting a Rocket League game. I think I played that a few times. I've never had a problem getting into Overwatch games. So it doesn't really matter all that much to me, and then I don't spend that much time playing multiplayer anyway.
Yeah.
I got like 8 single-player games that I need to finish over here before I can even consider that.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Fallout 76, we also got the intro cinematic. They announced, or they released it, so you can watch the intro. I remember seeing this on my list of trailers and going like, ooh, and then I was like, oh, right, the intro cinematics to Fallout games suck.
Also, like, I feel like I've seen all of this before.
It's just, I mean, it's like a bunch of black and white bullshit of like, everybody's...
It's just the only thing, it's like I've seen most of, if not all of what's in this cinematic in trailers. The only difference is there's no, a cover of a Bob Dylan, not Bob Dylan, fucking...
What's his name? John Denver.
John Denver. Thank you. I was trying to think of, oh God, who did all those TV specials with the Muppets? I can't think of his name right now.
The main thing that strikes me about this is that all of the vault dwellers in this game just seem inordinately happy to be just like, yeah, well, let's go out into the wasteland and see what's going on. I mean, maybe like they're all just supremely optimistic, and it ends with them all just like walking out the vault door. I feel like they should open the vault door and then after they show the logo, they should cut back to all of them. They're just like, nope. Close it up. There's a bear that's a scorpion as well out there. And there's like raiders and just like heads on sticks. Close the door. Let's wait for another 100 years. See what happens. Go back out another 100 years. See if civilization. But then also, again, I'm just not super hyped for 76. Like, it doesn't seem like the sort of game that I'm going to be very interested in.
I'm not hyped for it either.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. I'm going to see if we can get into the beta in October, and maybe we'll play it and it's real good, but I'm not holding my breath. Let's see. Speaking of big hyped up games that are coming soon, we got 1 whole minute worth of Death Stranding from TGS 2018. And boy, howdy.
New cast member announced.
Yeah, Troy Baker, which I know is something that like a lot of people, I don't know, I feel like people out there are just like, ooh, that's Troy Baker. And I'm like, who? I don't fucking care. Like he's
the Nolan North of our generation.
Is he? Whose generation? What are you talking about? Your generation?
Of the new generation.
Of a new generation.
Yeah. Also, funny enough, him and Nolan North have a YouTube channel where they play video games with each other.
Just Troy Baker and Nolan North hanging out being generic white
it's great.
voices.
I actually subscribe to their channel, and they're hilarious. They're fun. They just play a bunch of old games and talk and BS and
okay.
But yeah.
Well, you know what? The one thing that I think is really interesting about this trailer is that I think that it shows us after E3. I feel like there were a lot of people that were being kind of that looked at the trailer for Death Stranding and they were like, oh, it's just going to be a walking simulator. And it's like, no, bro, it's not going to be a walking simulator. He had a gun at one point. Like, it's not, there was walking in the trailer, but it's not going to be a walking simulator. And in this one, Troy Baker sticks his gold mask in the ground and summons what looks like fucking goddamn Bloodborne.
Yeah, it does look like a Bloodborne
beast that then roars and is going to go fight Norman Reedus. So I mean, you know,
I like the fact that it even licks its paw.
Yeah, I like the fact that its face is its mouth. Like the entirety of its big gold face is a big gold mouth. Also, Troy Baker's character here has like one of the little baby generators on his chest. Again, just like every Death Stranding trailer, I don't know what's going on here, John.
I'm left with more questions than answers, but I'm okay with that.
I really want to play this game. Yeah. So there's not much more that I can say about that. Like, I think there were a bunch of interviews with Kojima at TGS where they were talking about stuff. But, like, at this point, dude, all right, I'm going to say that from this point forward, I will watch trailers, but I do not want any extended information about Death Stranding because I still don't know what the fuck it is. I still don't know what the shit is going on or what it's about. And I would like to keep it that way until I play it, and then I'm disappointed for myself the way that you or not. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I say disappointed because a lot of times Hideo Kojima games will make some very grandiose implications, and then when you play them, and it's like, oh, okay, that's all right, weird. Or maybe I'm just still salty about MGS5, but
Probably just salty, but I don't blame him for that one because he clearly wanted out
Yeah.
and didn't want to make that game.
Yeah. In any case, it still looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Like all the art and stuff looks really good.
Yeah, I like the fact that it was like the gold thing that he takes off his face is like a gold skull, and then when he like summons the giant beast or whatever, its face is a gold skull.
Yeah. Yep.
Like little things like that. Like I like the little details.
I like the fact that he's got what it looks like when he's wearing it. It looks like it's like a gas mask, but then when he takes it, like it's just over the bottom half of his face. But then he takes it off, he's got a second mask on underneath that. He's double masking it. In any case, if you're interested in Death Stranding, I mean, just go watch.
Or the fact that Norman Reedus has a person on his back.
Yeah, that he's carrying a person.
At first, we all thought that was like a dead body,
right?
Like in earlier trailers, and maybe it was in that specific trailer, but in this trailer, it's very clearly not because the person looks around.
Right. Yep. Yep. I don't know. We shall see. I want this game.
Yeah. Apparently, he's a human taxi service.
I want this game. I want it.
It's Crazy Taxi, but with humans,
with a person. Shit, yeah, it is.
As soon as the scene then it goes to the next scene, all you hear is yeah. The Offspring song starts, and you have to run away from him.
Yep. Well, I know that I'm very interested in Death Stranding, but John, you are getting more interested in WWE 2K19?
I actually, before this trailer came out, I legitimately made the decision that I wasn't going to buy this game pre-order.
Okay.
Like I was like, you know what? I'm not. I don't care.
Good job. I was just saying that earlier.
They
squandered all your goodwill.
Yeah, they kind of squandered all the goodwill, and I wasn't really seeing anything new or interesting that was really like catching my interest. Then they released the story trailer where you get to see the story for their My Career mode, which it actually, it's fully voiced.
Yeah.
So every wrestler who's in it is voicing themselves in the story. You play a main character who starts off in the indies and works his way up to the main roster. Excuse me, I hiccuped. But you start in the indies and works his way up to the main roster, and that interests me. Like, I'm like, okay, you have my interest now.
Yeah.
So I may end up buying it on release day. I don't know yet. I know that they had a press event recently where they had like a bunch of YouTubers who focus on the WWE, these games,
right?
And let them film footage.
Yeah.
And then they all got to put it all online. So when this trailer went up, then they all got to put up their footage.
Yeah.
And some people played through like the first 30 minutes of the career mode. And I will say some of the scenes kind of look like early PS3, late PS2 era graphics.
No, I mean, I was going to say that one of the things that I find really interesting, having watched these games for a while, is kind of maybe the lack of evolution in the way that these games look, where I feel like watching this trailer, I'm like, I'm not that familiar with them, but I feel like this is the same level of graphics that I saw in like NBA 2K16, or not NBA, the WWE 2K like 16, right?
Well, I will say that the last year's games in this game are graphically better than the year before that.
Okay.
I do feel like that there has been improvement there. But the problem has that with those improvements came atrocious load times. And that's what I'm worried about.
Okay.
Now, a lot of those people who were at that press event said that the load time issue seems to have been fixed, but then they were also playing on consoles provided by provided by 2K. And like one person said he thought they were all Xbox One X's.
Okay.
But he wasn't sure. And that kind of also makes me kind of go, well, what does that mean for someone who doesn't have an Xbox One X? Is it going to be shit load time still?
Yeah.
And like I said, there were some, like if you click to the very beginning of the trailer, there's a scene where he's walking around outside. That looks like garbage.
Yeah.
That legitimately, those scenes look like complete trash.
A lot of this kind of looks like trash, but I mean, there's a part where he's fighting the guy outside of the house, and it just the background again, like you said, like none of the background stuff here looks very. I mean, like it all just kind of looks like like for all I know, it could just be stuck like Unreal asset store flip stuff,
and so like
right?
there's that stuff that kind of gives me some pause, and that I'm still not 100% like this did it for me and I'm totally gonna buy it,
Right.
but this perked my interest enough that I'm keeping an eye on it.
Okay.
And that I may like I'm actually like actively going out and watching those press videos, even though normally I wouldn't give two shits.
Right.
And I will admit, the roster is fucking the best roster, the largest, most varied roster in any of these WWE games, which is the one thing that happens every year is they get a better roster and it gets bigger and there's more wrestlers to fight, and that's great.
Right.
And that coupled with the fact that there's a My Career mode that is actually telling a cohesive story with actual vocal, voice dialogue, because I know that was one of your big issues, is that everything was text based.
Oh yeah.
In the last game, the only thing, it's like literally for me, all I have to know is be confirmed that the load issues are fixed.
Okay.
And that will actually...
That'll be enough?
That'll be enough to let me get them another chance.
Okay. Well, let's say you don't want to give them another chance, but you're still looking for some way to a way to get your fighting on. Now you can do it with Fighting Layer EX on the PC.
Oh, okay.
They announced that they're bringing Fighting Layer EX to the PC in 4K. The trailer at the end is a very short trailer, and at the end it basically just says like 2019 question mark, 2018 question mark, 4K question mark, 4K exclamation point. So it's got 4K. It'll be on the PC
soon.
That's pretty much it. But let's say that you've got, let's say, a PlayStation and you're looking to get more of your Fighting Layer EX on. Well, if you own SNK Heroines, you're going to be getting Skullamania, or should I say Skullaladia?
Well, it's just Skullalady.
Skullalady as a DLC character for SNK Heroines. Yeah. So that's still a thing. I'm wondering, like, what are they going to do for the alternative costumes for Skullamania? Is it going to be like
different colors
costumes over the black bodysuit, or what? Also, is it just anybody who comes into this place turns into a lady?
Clearly.
I mean, is this Skullamania's sister?
I gotta say, I didn't play the game, so I don't know. You, however, did play it. You played it with somebody else who you never even talked to about these games with every time there was news. I feel a little bit jaded about that.
Yeah,
but we'll move on.
Okay.
The fact that you built it up, making it seem like, oh, well, clearly I'm going to be the one that plays this game with him. Nope.
No, that's true. Yeah.
But so I can't tell you because I haven't played this game.
Okay. October 11th, if you want some Skullamania, you can get some Skullamania.
Good time frame for that. October, some Skullamania.
Yeah. Let's see. We got some more trailers. Absolver's getting a new free update called Downfall. Everybody knows that I love me some Absolver.
You do.
This is going to be adding a 3-person co-op PvE dungeon that is procedurally generated. So I assume it's going to be like Chalice Dungeons and Bloodborne. Considering that Absolver is pretty much all about combat, like, that's fine with me. And also considering the fact that this is a free update. Also, there's going to be a new fighting style. There's going to be some new powers, some new outfits, some new boss AIs. Great. Absolver's had a bunch of updates. None of them have cost money. And I have nothing but so much respect and love for the company, for Absolver. Like, it's been a fun game that I go back to every so often.
And remains to be fun.
Yeah. And the fact that, it's like Fortnite, right? Like, I applaud any company that does content updates, and they haven't, as near as I can tell, charged for any of them, right? You bought the original Absolver for like $20 or whatever.
Yeah.
They had that one update that happened, I think it was like 6 or 8 months ago. It's a big update with new kinds of costumes and things that you can do. And now this new update. And it's out right now on the PlayStation, at least. I don't know if it's going to be coming out on the PC soon, but if you got Absolver, maybe reinstall it and check it out. I know I'm going to. Last week, The Last Remnant Remastered was announced. And this week we got a trailer that basically shows kind of a split screen between the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 4 versions. it looks like they've done some work on this, not just bumped up the resolution, right? Like there appears to be some actual lighting and texture changes that have happened here, which is fun. I'm still very interested in playing this. It's been a while. I think I played the demo for it, but it was always kind of.
I've never played it,
but it looks really good. I mean, whatever the remaster is, it looks really good. Let's see. Speaking of stuff that looks really good, I don't know what it is about Starlink Battle for Atlas that. No, actually, that's not true. I do know what it is, John. Nobody makes fucking Wing Commander games anymore.
No,
and Starlink may look like a Nickelodeon show that also has a Toy-Con component with it where you got to...
And apparently one of the characters is a YouTuber.
Yeah, because that's what the kids do today. But at least it also looks like an action-packed game where you get to fly a spaceship
it looks like it has a story.
Yeah. Not just any story, but it looks like they put some work into this shit.
Yeah.
Like, so, I don't know. You know, this is one of those ones that I was kind of interested in. I guess I'm mostly just interested to know how much it's going to cost. Like, how much is are the ships and the attachments and all that shit going to cost? But outside of that, you know, I like all of the other stuff.
Didn't they also say you could play the game without a ship, like without actually using the Toys to Life stuff?
I don't think so. Did they? I mean, maybe, I don't know. In fact, I was just about to say that I hope that if this game does well enough and they make a sequel, that they ditch that part of it and just make a fucking space combat game, because I fucking love space combat games and we don't get any goddamn space combat games anymore.
And if you're playing on the Switch, you know, you get Star Fox.
I don't want to play it on the Switch, but I do want Star Fox. Let's see. Also, if you're looking for something new to play this December, you can play Thronebreaker. We talked about this briefly, but we got a very brief trailer for Thronebreaker: The Witcher Tales this week.
It's an expansion for Gwent?
I think it's going to be a standalone product.
Oh, okay.
But what it's going to do is I think that Gwent is going to be the combat. See, I pulled it up on Good Old Games. So, like, there's actually kind of this, like, overworld component where you're walking around in, like, an isometric thing. But then it appears that Gwent is going to be the way that you do combat. But that there is going to be, like, some comic book story stuff. And I kind of like what I'm seeing here. Okay. I kind of like the whole aesthetic of what I'm seeing. So, I don't know. You know, I wasn't a fan of Gwent, but it was mostly because it was just like an esport thing, right? It was just fighting people without a reason. I need a reason, John. I need a reason to fight people. I don't just, you know, unless it's Overwatch, then I don't care. Also, there appears to be a whole thing with kind of a make a choice, and there's one of these screenshots has a little blip that says the choices you make will have consequences. Some may be felt immediately, while others may take time. Choose carefully. So, hey, you know, if it's basically a choose your own adventure Telltale style game, but then also with Gwent as the combat, I'm down. I don't got a problem with that. I'm good. Castlevania, Requiem, Symphony of the Night, and Rondo of Blood are coming to what's the PlayStation 4?
Yes. An all new console experience. Basically, it's Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood together in one package. You can pre-order it now. Comes out October something.
Let's see. Does it say in the trailer here? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it comes out in October.
That would make sense.
I think it's like 26th or something like that. I think that's great. Symphony of the Night, obviously one of the best Castlevania games ever made. Rondo of Blood, also no slouch to that either. It's a really good game.
Yeah.
Don't think it's as good as Symphony of the Night, but it's still it's up there.
I think Symphony of the Night is the best Castlevania game. Yeah. That's just me, but like I would put that one at the top of the list.
Yeah, October 26th.
Okay.
For $19.99 for $20.
Hey man, I fucking love Symphony of the Night. I'll buy it again for $20.
It's like I actually what's funny is I actually have it on my Xbox through Xbox 360, and it's backwards compatible for just Symphony of the Night. But lately I've been playing my PS4 more, so I'm totally okay with buying it on PS4 and also getting Rondo of Blood.
Yeah. Well, speaking of things that I am totally cool with buying a second time, we got a release date for Mark of the Ninja Remastered on October 9th, along with a sick new trailer that showed a bunch of the gameplay and reminded me, oh yeah, I fucking love
Yes.
Mark of the Ninja. Like, as much as I like Invisible Ink and I'm not really a big fan of what the air not included, or what was the space?
Oxygen not included.
Oxygen not included. God damn, I wish they would get back to the
I like Shank.
To the Shank and the Mark of the Ninja stuff, because Clay is so good at this 2D stuff.
Yeah.
That,
also, didn't they also do Don't Starve?
oh yeah, that is a Clay joint, isn't it? Yeah, they've been making a million Don't Starves. It's just like all the Don't Starves. I want Mark of the Ninja too. God damn it, I love Mark of the Ninja. It's so fun, and watching this trailer just makes me remember, oh yeah, it's fucking fun as hell. I totally want to play it. So, and if you've never played it and you got a Switch, what are you waiting for, man? October 9th, go get Mark of the Ninja.
Get it.
It's so good. It's also largely, it's much more accessible, or at least I remember it being very accessible, where it's like you could totally make it through without being like a stealth master, right? You could bumble your way through a level and set off some alarms, but then like you keep replaying the levels over and over again, and you get different suits and different things that you could do, and it's so good. All right, a couple more Switch things. Apparently last week there was a story with the Nintendo Online that if you ever stopped your Nintendo Online service, Nintendo would just instantaneously delete all of your cloud saves.
Yeah.
Apparently you get 6 months grace period. It's not the moment that your subscription is up. So.
Well, I think that was something that changed.
Yeah.
I think they basically were like, because Nintendo was saying if it gets canceled, your thing will disappear, and then everyone went, but at least Sony gives us 6 months.
Right.
Nintendo or Microsoft doesn't ever delete them, but at least Sony gives us 6 months. What the fuck? And they're like, all right, fine, we'll give you 6 months.
Don't be a Sony, Nintendo. You all right, be a Nintendo. Also, there's a screenshot that people are not sure is entirely real, but it seems like Ken might be in Smash Brothers
as one of those like alternate costumes for a character.
Oh, is that what it is?
Like it's like for Ryu.
For Ryu,
it's not. Again, it's not confirmed. It's speculation. Because apparently the place that this originated from also has did something similar but not as convincing, where they like, oh, this character is going to be in a Smash game, and like showed proof, and everyone was like, wow. And then it actually got announced like a week later, like a little bit later, that character was in the game. And then that guy came out and goes, okay, I'm going to come out and say something. Mine was a fake. I actually didn't think that they were going to actually include that character.
Okay.
But there you go. And then, so everyone's kind of now taking this one with a grain of salt because of what happened previously.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's possible it could be an elaborate fake. It's also possible it could be totally real. I don't know. It's definitely plausible.
Yeah, I could definitely see it as being an Echo character.
Yeah, for Ryu.
For Ryu.
I mean, why they wouldn't do it as an Echo character for Ryu is ridiculous.
Right. Last but not least, Oculus announced the Oculus Quest in their thing. With this, actually, we knew this was coming. Like, this had been a thing that they announced.
But they've now given it a name. They've given it an actual release date, and we already kind of knew the price point that it was going to be shooting for, and they confirmed it. Yeah,
standalone Oculus headset, doesn't require a computer, doesn't require a phone. It's two controllers and a headset. Doesn't require a camera or room space stuff. It uses cameras on the front to literally kind of track where you're at. It's gonna be $400, and it's gonna have a selection of, I think they said at least like 50 things at launch.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of curious to know what all we're talking about here, because the amount of power, I don't know how much processing power you shove into that headset, right?
Yeah.
I mean, most of the headsets out there rely on the mother unit or a phone, right, for power, but it's possible that the phone technology has gotten high enough that this is fine. Oculus has been weird. I feel like they really fell behind on both PSVR and the Vive.
Yeah, but I think this might be the thing that kind of keeps them in the game.
Yeah, I like the idea of $400 for a full VR experience, because I have a phone and I have the Gear VR, but it taxes my phone so hard that like I can only mess with it for about 10 minutes, and then my phone's like, hey, guess what? My phone is overheating. You have to stop.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to have something.
Yeah, and apparently part of the thing I thought was really cool in one of the things is that apparently one of the things that the camera does is that if you're walking, like physically walking in the room, if you start to come towards a wall, it will warn you.
Oh, good.
Like it's going to warn you. Like that's what that's what something I read said, is that those cameras are also telling you, to make sure that you're not walking into something.
That would be nice. It would be really nice to be able to have room scale that had that all in one package. So we'll see. And then I feel like it's taken them long enough to realize that you need some killer app at launch, and apparently the killer app for this thing is going to be Vader Immortal,
Episode 1
of 3, where you're gonna be hanging out with Darth Vader. And I'm like, are we finally? I mean, like, Beat Saber, right, is like the closest thing we've gotten to a lightsaber. Like, in all this time with motion controls and virtual reality, and I'm like, and Star Wars has just been this online multiplayer horse shit. Where is the game where I could swing a lightsaber around? Wait, they had one right on the Vive, where you had to like you were like by the Millennium Falcon or something, and like there were stormtroopers coming.
I don't have a Vive.
I think I played
there was
Brushwood's house.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was one of the Kinect games you had like a lightsaber that you could swing.
You mean Star Wars Kinect?
Yeah, Star Wars Kinect thing had a lightsaber thing.
It was so bad.
Yeah, well, I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying.
It's one of those things where like people fucking love Star Wars. Come on, bro, give me a Star Wars game. But yeah, I mean, this is a teaser trailer. It could literally be anything. Apparently, you're going to be working with Darth Vader. You have big Darth Vader talking to you. Hey, man, I'm cool with that. I'm gonna hang out with the Darth Vader and do some stuff. So
yeah.
And last but not least, I already said last but not least, double last.
Oh shit.
Extra bonus last. Hitman 2 put out a full-on trailer for the Columbia level that we've seen some teasers for before. It looks fun as fuck.
Yeah.
Hitman or Agent 47 throws cocaine at somebody.
Yeah, he throws a brick of cocaine in the back of somebody's head.
I could say that there's a lot of like people are lighting up cigarettes by open gas tanks. I'll tell you, when I go to light up a cigarette, I usually like to take just a second to make sure I don't hear before I do it. But
yeah,
that's just me. I really like this level because it harkens back to Hitman 1 had a level where you were in a jungle.
Yeah.
And I like I like that stuff. So Hitman 2 is looking badass. There's also a trailer I didn't even put on the list of showing how, because that they're adding like the briefcase, the foliage, like the picture-in-picture stuff from Hitman 2 back into Hitman 1 to give you more options to complete levels. So like they showed a the Paris level getting a sniper rifle, and then people see you with the sniper rifle and they're like, but they're just like, oh, I got the sniper rifle, and then I put it inside the briefcase, and everybody's like, oh, that guy's got a briefcase. So yeah, I cannot wait for Hitman.
Apparently there's a collector's edition that comes with a briefcase and a rubber ducky and
bullet key ring,
bullet keychain,
some coins so you can distract your enemies.
Yeah.
Yep. And the pre-order expansion pass, Midnight Black suits and stuff. I already pre-ordered it because I want to play fucking Sniper Assassin.
Oh, I know.
That's the only reason you would get me to pre-order. Well, that's not true. Hitman 1 was such a goddamn masterpiece that I want to play Hitman 2 so bad. Anyway, that is actually the end of it. We will end with the Hitman. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to answer some of your questions, so stick around. And we are back. And John, it is time. It's that time. The time that everybody loves so much. Question time.
Okay.
You ready for question time?
Sure.
Okay. Mail@ragelight.com is the email address to send your questions into. And our first question this week comes in from Marcus. Marcus says, hello, Jeff and awesome John, legends of gaming and disciples of the great Lord Doncles. I recently watched Logan Noir, the black and white version. Shockingly, I prefer this version to the original. This version enhances the narrative and visuals, especially with the deaths of Xavier and Logan, which are more gut-wrenching in this version. My question to you is, what modern-day color film would benefit from a black and white version? Keep up the good work. Once I gain employment, I will contribute to your Patreon. P.S. Doncles would have defeated Thanos. And that's from Marcus.
Well, yeah, of course.
I mean, come on. Thanos is just a guy with a glove. Doncles is a god
with a huge dick.
Yeah, he would just send his one begotten son Jesus to take him out. That's I mean, he doesn't even have to bother with that, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, have you seen Logan Noir?
I have not seen Logan Noir. I've seen Logan.
Okay.
But I've not seen Logan Noir. It also reminds me, I remember when that that whole thing got announced or whatever, they were going to do that. That reminded me of Fury Road.
Yeah.
Max Fury Road. They did the black and chrome edition, which was basically black and white. And then there was no dialogue. It was just all like it was just the musical score over it.
Was there no dialogue?
At least I think they removed the dialogue and just played a musical score of it. Fucking great.
Oh. Did you watch it?
I watched like a large portion of it.
Oh, I didn't realize they took the dialogue out. I thought it was just that they remastered.
I think they might just have another one just in black and white, but I think that you can also choose to just have it be a musical score over it, and it's very nice, very well done.
Okay. I mean, generally speaking, black and white is a weird stylistic choice. I can say that, like, for Fury Road, when they were announcing it, I thought about how lovely that movie is with the color and the way that it's all set up, and how I feel like you would be losing a lot of that in black and white. I don't know. Maybe
I feel like it changes it.
Yeah,
it changes what it is. It's still fucking gorgeous, but you're not bombarded by all the color.
Mm-hmm.
So it's beautiful in a different way.
Okay. This has you kind of focusing on different things.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the Logan Noir is very much the same way.
Okay. Let's see. I can say, even as early as last night. So I have my phone set to grayscale because there is a. I've read some articles about how like app companies and basically your phone is meant to use a lot of like specifically bright colors to be like, hey, look at me, look at me, fuck, look at me, look. And so one of the things you can do is set your phone to grayscale. That way, bright red notifications aren't bright red anymore. They're just a different shade of gray. And so there's not as much kind of like, it's not tapping into that part of your brain that is like, red is exciting. Red, the color of blood, right? Like,
yeah.
Because there's biologically, when you see certain things like fire or red, like you get excited.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've been doing is, like last night, I came home from the bar and I was watching music videos, and then when I went out to smoke, I would continue watching music videos on my phone, except that my phone is set to grayscale, and so I was watching music videos. Last night was a very Nicki Minaj night. Watching Nicki Minaj videos in grayscale, because I don't know if you've seen many Nicki Minaj videos.
I've seen a few.
They are very colorful videos.
Yes, they are.
So it's really interesting to watch the kind of like sensory overload Nicki Minaj thing, but in black and white, like in grayscale. Like it's a very different experience than this kind of blasting you with all this different color and stuff. And I feel like it does make a little bit of a difference. As far as movies go, though, I don't know. Let's see.
Now, was the question like any movies, or was it just like more recent movies?
Oh, so what modern day color film would benefit from a black and white version? Brick would probably be very good in black and white. Yeah. That's a good one.
That was the first. I mean, it is a noir,
right?
Like it's a noir in a high school, like so it's kind of designed for that.
Along that same things, I think it might be interesting to see how, like, it just like talking about music videos, right? To see how like maybe like Ocean's 11 would look in kind of down that same thing of like a crime movie, which I feel like we associate a lot with black and white.
Yeah.
But then especially because Ocean's 11 has so much kind of like colorful flair to it, I think it would be interesting to see what it was like if you pulled that out of it. It's interesting too because I often wonder. I mean, dumbass me when they first announced the Fury Road black and white, I was like, why don't you just turn down the color on your monitor if you want to watch Fury Road in black and white? But they actually go back in and like, change the contrast and remaster it in certain ways.
Yeah, so that it's not just turning it black and white; it's actually processing it properly for black and white.
Yeah,
it kind of reminds me of something that's not black and white. So one of my favorite movies is a movie called Payback with Mel Gibson.
Oh yeah.
What a lot of people don't know is this is actually based on
the Hunter,
the Hunter from
Richard
Stark.
Yeah.
But there's two versions of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's Payback, the theatrical version, which is this kind of weird, like very 90s looking movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very blue, very it has very certain color grade to it that a lot of 90s movies used at that time.
Yeah.
And then there's the straight up edition or whatever it was called, Payback Straight Up Edition.
Sure.
Which is actually my favorite of that.
Yeah.
Weird. A lot of people I know don't like it, but I like it because it's so much closer to the Hunter.
See, I prefer the original.
Yeah, see, I prefer the remake. But I like part of the thing I like about the remake is that the color grading is completely different.
Yeah.
It looks more like a 70s exploitation film than it does a 90s generic action movie.
Right.
And that whole process of color grading, two different color grading on same film with a little bit different, with different editing and style choices. That's just and how you can make almost what is two completely different movies.
Yeah.
Just
because I feel like the comments might discuss it. I feel like for clarification, the whatever the director's cut version of Payback was actually the original cut.
Yeah.
And then the studio just took that whole movie away from the director and like recut it.
Well, apparently Mel Gibson also wasn't happy with it either. So he apparently some of the scenes were shot by Mel Gibson and the whole dialogue was written and done and so it is kind of a completely different movie using a lot of the same scenes.
I was just trying to clarify that at least from what I know, that what we think of as like the alternative or the director's cut was like that was the original, and then that got like taken and chopped back up and re-edited into what came out in theaters.
Yes, but I prefer that one because it's so much closer to The Hunter than the theatrical version of Payback.
Yeah,
and also that was the first version I saw.
Okay,
and because I bought it, and I was like, oh my god, it's based on The Hunter, and this they just said, and I knew about the original, and I just never seen it. I bought that, and a friend was like, "Oh, Payback! It's like my favorite movie ever." And we watched it. He's like, "What the fuck is this shit?"
Well, the theatrical cut is quite a bit more humorous.
Yes, it is. And he even like we're watching the original now because I've got it on DVD, and we watched the original, and then he was like, "This is the fucking real movie," and I'm like, "I like the other one because it's closer to the source material."
I think I definitely see, because I watched the movie and then I read the book and then I saw the director's cut, and I think it's good that both exist.
Yes, no, I agree. I actually think both are good movies.
I actually really like the original version because I kind of like the weird dichotomy between this like super grizzled, super hard crime guy and then the kind of weird dry humor that goes with it.
Yeah, no, they're both, and I do want to strike that. I don't think the theatrical version of that movie sucks. I'm pointing out that how color grading can change the look of a movie.
Absolutely,
not just with the editing that they did to make the theatrical version to change it from the original, but just the color grading on it.
Yeah,
it looks. If you were to take the exact same scene and put them next to each other, and while yes, it's the same actors doing the exact same movie, they look like they were shot in two completely different eras.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why I think that proper color grading with going to grayscale can be depending on the movie, obviously. I agree. It could totally transform a movie to be something completely different without actually editing the movie in any way.
It's interesting because it forces a different type of focus from the audience, right? Is that color can tell us a lot. Like I've been thinking a lot about I've been watching Better Call Saul. I love Better Call Saul, right?
Yeah, I get that.
And I don't know if you've ever seen on the internet. I'm sure everybody has by now, but there's actually these charts that they have online that focus on the colors that the characters in the show are wearing episode by episode. And they have like these of Breaking Bad, and they have these charts that show Walter White and kind of like what colors is Walter wearing, and that you can see a weird progression if you kind of line it up from going from these to these, and the stuff that Hank wears, the stuff that Skylar wears, over the course of the show. It's funny because they always have these charts, and then at the bottom they have the one that's Marie, and it's just purple all the way across because Marie loves purple. But color really can signal a lot of things to you. The same is true. I was talking with I was talking with Grant last week about how Better Call Saul, editing, like musical choice. There's a montage sequence at not the last episode, but the one before that, two back, I guess, by the time this comes out, but where that has an opening scene that just it's like it's a montage, but it shows two characters that were close kind of growing apart just in this very simple way of showing them going about their lives. In the beginning, it's very synchronized, and then as it goes on, they become more and more unsynchronized while a song plays, right?
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people do not give editing and color grading and things like that enough credit, because while it's one of my big pet peeves with the Netflix Marvel shows where they're shot very flatly and plainly, but like more than just a director and more than just the words on the screen can get the story across.
Yeah.
Where people are, how they're blocked, how they're framed. Who's moving. Lighting can do a shitload for stuff. So, yeah, I was trying to think of more like kind of colorful movies that it would be interesting just to see what it was like without the color just blam down in your face.
Something like Fifth Element or What Dreams May Come.
Yeah. It might even be interesting to see with, it would be interesting because you think about how that would kind of obfuscate something like Infinity War.
Yeah.
Because of the way, like, you get so much information about, like, what Thanos is doing based on the color of the energy coming out of the gauntlet using the different gems, right?
Yeah.
And so it's almost like you would...
Well, yeah, you can't do it for everything because there are certain movies where if a color is... for example, What Dreams May Come, I don't think I'd ever want to watch that in it's a Robin Williams movie.
Oh, yeah, I know.
For anyone who doesn't know. But a lot of it is... There's sections of that where the color and the vibrancy of that color is part of the story.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole reason that, for example, Schindler's List, which is all black and white except for that one girl in the red coat.
Right.
And that's the reason is because of how
It's very striking.
it's striking.
Yeah.
And so when you use color as an element of a story, removing that color hurts the story.
Yeah.
So you can't do it with every movie.
It's kind of like I've always wondered sometimes about, like Seven has this very heavy contrast and kind of a blue tone to the movie. And I often wonder what it would be like because, when I do scam school editing, right, we have 3 different cameras. And one of the big things that I do in color correction is trying to make sure that the colors and the contrast for all 3 of those cameras look somewhat similar, because it would be jarring if this camera had a higher green tint than this camera, and every time you switch to this scene, it would kind of I don't know that you would notice it. I don't know that you would be like, hey, wait a minute. I think you would just be like, why does this seem wrong? Why does it seem like this one angle is from a different place? So I often wonder about like a movie like Seven, even not black and white, but just like taking it in and being like, what if I just change the temperature balance on here to bring it from blue to more of a warmer tone?
Yeah.
Like, would it make, because that movie is a very cold movie, right?
Yeah.
So if you lighten it up, or if you go back and look at the way that they did all that color stuff in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
Right? Where they made everything from green to very kind of ashen, rusty, kind of burnt grass type of stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway. All right, let's see. This next one comes in from PDub206.
What up, P-Dubs?
Who says, do you think Sony would ever remaster SOCOM? It was a great game, and by the time the series ended, it didn't resemble the first couple games. After SOCOM 2, they added features from other popular shooters, and it didn't really resonate with fans. I think tactical shooters like Rainbow Six Siege and Ghost Recon, along with Battle Royale being popular now, SOCOM could definitely make a comeback. Thanks for reading my question, and keep doing what y'all do, PDub206. No. I mean, well, if so, I think it would be way down on the list. I think you'd be way more likely to see a reboot instead of a remaster.
Yeah.
I just don't know that. I know that like SOCOM is one of those
Or
games,
just something that uses the name.
right? It'd be like Siphon Filter, right? It's
Yeah.
like I know that the people that like the SOCOM games really like the SOCOM games, but I just don't know that there's enough, because whenever you do a remaster or a remake of a game, it's like you're trading on the nostalgia of the people that played the original, and you want them to buy it, right? You know, so I just don't know that there's enough hardcore fans of the SOCOM franchise that would be willing to buy a reboot. Also, it was published by Sony, but wasn't that made by somebody else?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know a lot about the SOCOM games.
Let's see. Oh, man, there was a PS3 game that had the... what was that thing called? The controller that you could put the Move controller into the front of it when it was like...
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Because Killzone, you could play that by like aiming the gun with the camera. Let's see. SOCOM, Navy SEALs, PS2, Zipper Interactive, makers of MechWarrior 3... and MAG. There actually was a SOCOM 4 U.S. Navy SEALs game for the PS3 in 2011. And then, Unit 13? Wait, is that what I'm thinking of? Yeah, it is what I'm thinking of. It's like that weird It's kind of like Tony Hawk Pro Skater, but a third-person action game where it's like you're supposed to be doing all kinds of crazy things to blow stuff up.
Like that's a SOCOM game, or
No. That was from Zipper.
Zipper Interactive. Okay.
Yeah. Or wait a minute. Maybe I'm thinking of a different game.
I think you're thinking of a different game.
I think it was a Japanese game. Or maybe I'm not. I don't know. In any case, oh wait, this is a Vita game, right? Are they still around anymore? Closure. Nope. They closed. Sony closed Zipper on March 29th of 2012. So,
yeah.
I don't think there's enough. I mean, there are what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 SOCOM games, but I just don't know. I think that there's other stuff on the list. Like I think that Sony would probably rather put their resources into Spider-Man 2 or God of War 2 or whatever, something else that has a higher profile than we're bringing back
Horizon, the next
right, yeah,
the next whatever Naughty Dog wants to do.
Yep. I honestly feel like they would probably put their money somewhere else before that. Not that I think that SOCOM is a bad game. I just, I would love for them to make a sequel to Binary Domain, but obviously that's that's not a property that was so well known that people would be interested in making a second one.
Yeah.
I would like Singularity 2 to happen. I fucking love that game, and yet that just didn't. It wasn't a great big seller. You know what I really want? I want a sequel to PsyOps: The Mindgate Conspiracy, because that game is fucking great, and nobody knows about it. I just bought a PlayStation 2. Should go get PsyOps: The Mindgate Conspiracy.
You bought a PlayStation 2?
Yeah, I got drunk and bought a PlayStation 2.
Nice. So you don't have to borrow mine anymore.
Yeah. I bought a PlayStation 2, and I bought an original Red Octane Guitar Hero controller and Guitar Hero 1, 2, and 3.
Nice. Nice.
And the next day, I made a pact to myself not to spend more than $100 when I'm drunk, and I'm like, I miss Guitar Hero. I would like to play the original Guitar Hero. Amazon, just do that. You do that, Amazon.
Nice.
Next day delivery. Come on.
Nice. Well done, sir.
Yes, exactly.
Well done.
Yeah. Anywho, I need to buy clothes and shoes. I don't have any shoes that don't have holes in them anymore, so maybe I should buy that before I buy a PlayStation 2. So you got to get your priorities. Yeah. Chris writes in with a long one. He says, hey, Jazz Jeff and Cool John, long-time listener, just became a Patreon for $5 a month and loving the bonus vids. Quick question for yous. With Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out, the hype is growing on me. Rockstar consistently puts out incredible and sometimes controversial games. But I noticed a slightly disturbing pattern. Rockstar has sometimes unavoidable, mandatory, stupid side missions that totally suck or crappy gameplay elements. A few examples in random order. The Warriors having to spray paint a W on walls repeatedly. GTA 5 having to do towing missions in the hood for that random crack whore you don't get paid. Red Dead Redemption, dreadful Bonnie missions, cow herding, flower picking. Do you think Rockstar has learned its lesson, at least from RDR, and will not include any unskippable Bonnie-type missions, or is it just something that we have to deal with? Also, any other great games that you love with sucky missions that you don't like? Mine is any part in Dead Space 2 that involves outer space and Heavy Rain having to rock the baby to sleep. P.S. I'm visiting Italy next month, and you once mentioned in the Hitman 2016 episode 2 Sapienza playthrough with Sarah that you took a cab in Italy and it was one of the worst experiences of your life. Please do tell the story for us. I'm sure we'll get a kick out of it because we love you. Lol. Thanks for all the hard work. And that's from Chris.
I actually really don't mind the Bonnie missions.
Yeah?
Yeah, I actually don't mind them.
I hate herding missions in every game. I hate them in Zelda. There's that Zelda.
Yeah.
Go round up the sheep, Link, and it's like, ugh, Jesus Lord. There is a. Okay, I think that those types of missions don't necessarily have to be bad. I just feel a lot of times, like in Red Dead, they come early in the game when. Because Red Dead Redemption starts, right? You get the setup.
Yeah.
Marsden goes to, what's his face?
Gets shot.
He gets shot. Bonnie brings back to life. He comes back to life. Brings back to life. Patches him up. Drags him away and patches him up. He recuperates. And she's like, hey, would you mind helping me with some chores?
Yeah.
Let's
and he's like, to pay you. It's like, it cost me this much to fix you. So.
Right. And he's like, okay. And I feel like that sequence of events is kind of a long sequence not to have any to really be like tutorializing. Is that like the main problem with that Bonnie stuff is I'm just like, come on already, this is a Western, let me shoot someone.
So I'm going to say, unfortunately, yes, those type of missions will be in Red Dead 2, mainly for the fact that they've talked about how you're going to have encampments, and to really help those encampments and grow, you have to go on hunting missions, and you have to go on scavenging missions, you have to go to the town to buy supplies, you have to do all this stuff that you may not want to do.
Yeah.
But if you don't do it, the settlement doesn't, your little campsite doesn't flourish. You know, depending on how well you do, it may hurt the campsite or whatnot. So I think, yes, there is going to be some of that stuff in that game. Will it be as annoying as you're saying that you felt that the Bonnie stuff or those stuff in other games that you thought? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Rockstar figured out the magic formula, and it'll play, and it won't even feel like you're doing pointless, annoying side quest stuff.
Yeah.
Or maybe you'll play it and it's still the same old.
Yeah. It's I think that Rockstar, the one thing that I will say about Rockstar is that they tend to get better. Like I feel like Rockstar games traditionally have an upward trend.
I agree.
Like the combat, in Grand Theft Auto was kind of shit in 3. All 3 of 3s. 4 was a little bit better, but like 5, they finally got around to making the combat something that I feel like was fun, was workable. It's weird, Amanda and I playing Ballad of Gay Tony, to go back to GTA 4 combat and be like, oh yeah, this was clunky. This is like when everybody wanted everything to be like a cover-based shooter, and so it's kind of a clunky cover-based shooter that's not really the best. So yeah, maybe they probably will have those types of missions, but yeah, maybe as they go on. I mean, the tow truck stuff in GTA 5 just sucked. I don't know. I didn't like that very much at all, but I don't know. A lot of it just kind of becomes a thing where it's like if you just spread it out, it'll be okay.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite games that have like really bad, tedious things?
Let's see. I'm trying to think of. I'm running down my list of of my favorite games. I'm trying to think of any. I think I did myself a little bit of a disservice when I was playing Spider-Man, where every time that they introduced a new thing, I would immediately do all of them immediately. So like when they announced when the research stations were unlocked, then I would just immediately go to every single research station and do them all in a row. And it was a little bit tiring because you probably shouldn't do them like that. You should probably do them a little bit at a time as you're playing the main story instead of just like, I got to eat all these vegetables to get them off my plate. Right?
I played it until I got to a certain point where it felt like there was a nice break in the story.
Yeah.
And then I would just go section by section,
okay,
doing all the side stuff.
Yeah.
And then like if it then's like, hey, that story thing is actually kind of important that you're not doing, I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna finish the section, then I'll do it, and then I'll come back and once I get to another little kind of break point, I'll come back and do the
rest of them. I don't know. What do you got? I'm trying because the thing is that I feel like whenever I play a game that I really like, it doesn't have those sorts of elements in it. Like there's nothing in Dark Souls that I would say is like busy work. Chalice Dungeons and Bloodborne is bad. It's kind of bad. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have any other games that really stand out. I mean, for the most part, it's not that irritating. It's a thing you got to do, and then you're done. And
I think the most recent thing I can think of is, like you said, with Spider-Man, with doing the challenge missions.
Yeah,
I actually was okay with every little side quest, every little token you had to get, the base tokens, the research tokens, even the fucking chasing down fucking pigeons in the game.
That wasn't too hard. That wasn't very hard.
Yeah, no, that was very easy. Those challenge missions, though.
The Taskmaster stuff?
The Taskmaster stuff can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, it really is a big spike, right? And I was complaining about it because Michael and I kind of did a little mini review for it last week.
Yeah.
Where I was like, it's good. I don't think it's perfect. And I feel like a lot of the people that I know that like Spider-Man and have been playing this game have been like, oh my God, it's the greatest game. And I'm like, well, it's very good. But like that Taskmaster stuff, I mean, it really comes out of nowhere. And it's a big impedance towards like the last third of the costumes and a lot of the upgrades and stuff, and it's hard to know. It's also very hard to know how close you are to a gold medal, like oh, did I just fuck this up to the point where I need to just restart the challenge?
Yeah, because there's so many other things that it factors in.
Right.
Like,
because your base score is like laughable, and then when you get to the end, it's like, oh, time multiplication and like this, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, for the most part, I want a game. I was like, God of War.
I will say, not to completely change the subject, but also stay on the same subject at the same time. Spider-Man, the Spider-Man game has a weird, very place for me right now.
Yeah.
Because I started playing it, and then this is going to kind of probably dampen the moods a little bit. I started playing it, and well, actually, no, I can't talk about that because that's a bit of a spoiler, and I don't want to go into spoilers for the game. It's too soon to talk about spoilers.
Yeah,
but it
there's some darkness.
Yeah,
in the back half of that game.
Yeah, well, there's some darkness that was also at the same time going on in my life.
Yeah,
and they both kind of happened right around at the same time, and it kind of hit a really close nerve with me.
Yeah.
I'm sure other people said, Michael probably said it when he was talking about it. I legitimately cried at the end.
Yeah?
Yeah, like I legitimately, while the credits were rolling, just was bawling crying.
Yeah, it's odd. The ending of that game strikes a very odd note. And it's a very kind of serious note, and then I feel like we kind of jump forward a little bit. It's just like, all right, everybody's fine now. Like everything is groovy. It's like,
when I beat the game, like, you know how when you beat the game, it's like, all right, now you have open world to finish everything you didn't do.
Right.
Like I literally saved and put the controller down and walked away from it because I was like, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. Like after that ending, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like not in a bad way. Like it's a very good game, and the ending is very, very good. Like we joked or we talked earlier where you're like, oh, you gotta say that this is your game of the year. It's probably not gonna be my game of the year. I probably know that much, but it's very close. Like it's probably gonna end up being like number 2 or 3 on my top 5. But
I mean, I wasn't trying to be mean or joking with you about that because I feel like the people that like Spider-Man, and especially people who like comics, have been very poorly served by the game industry since Arkham City. Like, I mean, you know, like for anything, for Spider-Man games, for
So I mean, it's very much like it's a game that I already identify with Peter Parker as it is enough. You know, both parents are dead. Lived with family members, lived with aunt and uncle for a long period of time in life.
Right.
And so like I already had that like Spider-Man's anytime I'm reading a good Spider-Man story or watching a good Spider-Man story or playing a good Spider-Man story, it has a lot of emotional resonance with me.
Yeah.
The ending, it had double the impact because of what was going on personally for me and what was going on for Spider-Man in that game at the same time.
I can imagine.
Like it hit a little hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens. I mean, a lot of times I feel like you have. I know I had one of my animation teachers. I won't go into specific details, but he had a very close family member pass away right when the movie Up came out, and it was like those two things. His part of his like grief was kind of built into the story of this movie. Whereas I watched Up, and I was just like, "Fuck you, movie! You're too sad. Too sad." But sometimes I feel like we can get to a place where it's like, you know what? Last week, when I mentioned at the very beginning when Maniac came out, right? And Maniac is kind of half a love story, but it's also kind of about loss and stuff. I mean, the premise of it is that these two characters go into this medical study that's about having them essentially take drugs that surface the bad things in their brain and then kind of forcing them to confront their kind of inner demons.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, not to stay too far off on this tangent. I'll end this with my Italy story, which will be probably less funny than y'all think, but like whatever. So last weekend was the first weekend that I've been single in 2 years.
Yeah.
And on Saturday, I was lost because I'm like, I don't know what to do because I finished Rage Select, I didn't have Scam School, and I'm single, and I was just like, it's been years since there's been a point where, you know, there wasn't somebody else to take into consideration as far as what was I doing. I had no time pressure commitment thing. Everything was taken care of. Rage Select was moving along, and I'm just kind of wandering around in my house, just like, what do I do? And finally, I just played Yakuza Kiwami 2 for a while.
That's what you do, Jeff.
Drank some beer, but it's been so long because when you're with somebody, you don't. I mean, I don't want. I really don't. Shouldn't sound like it's bad or anything, but like when I wasn't working, I wanted to spend time with my girlfriend. And
I know that feeling.
Hey, what do you want to do? You want to go out to dinner? You want to watch a movie? We can sit on the couch or whatever.
Know that feeling.
So it's very strange to just kind of be like, finish my work, and then it's like, there's nobody. I don't know what to do.
Oh no, there's totally been that with me. I totally understand that feeling because like there's been times where where Amanda's gone to visit family in California for like multiple weeks at a time, and
right
I'm here in Austin, I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I think I explained it to Michael as like or it might have been to Matt earlier this week as the John Travolta. The thing from Pulp Fiction that he put the things where he's just looking around and
yeah, or just kind of sat there and just like, I mean, guess I could do something, just
yeah. It's very strange. It's not something, and it's been a long time since I've been in that situation. Anyway, hey, I went to Italy one time, John.
Yeah, I heard.
Yep, and
apparently it was enough that you talked about it that someone wants to know more.
I took a cab to a ferry to go to Greece to go to this kind of college resort place where it was like you paid a very kind of low amount of money and you got a little bungalow and like a meal, like one meal a day, and then you had to pay for the other one. Man, it's a place called the Pink Palace. We got stuck there for like a week and a half because it was super cheap. You got one meal a day and then you forged the other one, and everybody just got wasted, and it was just like a bunch of really good looking people playing volleyball and fucking and stuff like that all the time. So I didn't do any of that because I don't play volleyball or have sex, but I did drink a lot and eat a lot of Greek food, and hey, sitting on the beach, drinking beer and eating gyros, it ain't half bad. Not as good as that other thing, not half bad, all right?
But there was a taxi ride.
But there was a taxi ride in Italy to the port that we took, right? And, okay, so when you watch the movies and you see like European cities that have like the little alleys and stuff like this, we're in like a minibus, basically, just like a little van. This guy was driving like 60 miles an hour down these like things with like 8 inches on each side of the cab, and then just like coming to like the most abrupt stop right in front of some old grandma that's crossing the street. She's like, gabacha at him, and then fucking taking these turns. It was just, I've never seen people drive so aggressively and so close to everything, like coming to a stop as close as humanly possible to the car in front of you, or like running a red light at the last second. I mean, just like really, really, it was nerve-wracking. Now, in retrospect, when Jason and I went to LA for E3, we took cab rides everywhere, and I think that this might just be cab drivers. This may not be the like, those crazy Italian cab drivers. I think this might just be like taxi drivers.
Possible.
That, are trying to get you to a place as fast as humanly possible, and they don't care how many times you shit your pants on the way there. So sometimes they want to take the long route to keep you in their cab as long as possible so that they can bilk you for more money. Yeah. But it was, it was basically a shuttle service from a hostel to the thing, and it was just interesting kind of. It's like being in Ronin, except like less, exciting.
Yeah,
and like
no gunfights,
no cops. It was like the guy driving the taxi was running from the police, even though there were no police behind us.
Okay.
So, all right, let's get on with it. Raphael says, "Hey, Jeff and John, you wanted questions? I got them. All right, here's one. Has a game ever made you feel really heroic or badass? And what would be the most heroic / badass you've ever felt in a video game?" Rock on, Raphael. P.S. No, I'm not a Ninja Turtle, but bonus question. What's your favorite pizza topping? Mine is cheese, onion, salami, jalapenos, mushrooms, and black olives. That's a lot of cheese, onion, salami, jalapenos. Okay, black olives. All right. Wow, where do you even get a salami pizza? Pizza Hut won't put salami on your pizza. Domino's?
You can find a place, I'm sure.
John, what's the best pizza topping?
I'm a simple man.
Pepperoni?
I just pepperoni and cheese.
Pepperoni and cheese.
Yeah.
I mean, it's strange that you had your wedding reception at a place that has nothing but crazy ass pizzas, and you're just like, just the regular pizza.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you like the? Do you ever get the Mr. Gatti's Superoni pizza?
No, because I don't really eat at Mr. Gatti's.
Okay, it's like 3 times the pepperoni on
Yeah,
one.
though I mean I've done like triple pepperoni at like Domino's because like they've had some special. It's like buy a large pizza, 2 large pizzas with 3 toppings each for like X amount of dollars.
Yeah,
and it's like all right, pepperoni, and more pepperoni. Greasy as all hell when you get that. Like it's literally soaking through the box.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I'm just a simple pepper. I'll eat like hamburger and other stuff, but if you give me a choice, it's gonna be pepperoni.
I don't have a pizza topping that I dislike, except for I'm not a big fan of green olives, but you don't see that many green olives on pizza. But like I like a Supreme. I don't mind anchovies. I think that people who get all up on their high horse about Hawaiian pizza are fucking crazy because
about pineapple on pizza.
Fucking sweet and savory is fine in my book. You know, I like a meat lovers, I like a cheese lovers, I like a what do they call the margarita, which is the big chunks of mozzarella and basil. You know, I got. To me, there's no such thing. It's like it would be asking, like, what is the perfect sandwich? And it's like, I don't know. What day is it? And what do I feel like? Sometimes I want turkey. Sometimes I want ham. Sometimes I want capicola.
What's your typical go-to pizza topping?
Well, because pizza tends to make me very ill, there is one pizza that does not make me very ill, and it's the one that I get from Austin's Pizza. Thin crust, pesto instead of marinara, grilled chicken, and broccoli and cheese.
Okay.
Which, not very traditional, and I usually dip it in a lot of ranch. Dip it in a lot of ranch sauce, and then get some pepperoni rolls inside. I think it might be the marinara that really messes me up.
Yeah, it's a good possibility.
To be honest, Raphael, I stopped getting pizza delivery because I learned that you can get, if you want something delivered to you, you can get Chinese food delivered to you, and Chinese food doesn't make me sick. So I eat a lot of Chinese food, and I always eat a relatively similar thing, which is chicken and strips of tofu with onions and vegetables in a brown sauce.
Okay.
Which I really like. Anyway.
But his first question.
Yes.
His big question.
Has a game ever made you feel really heroic or badass? And what would be the most heroic badass you've ever felt in a video game?
I mean, I'm sure there has been. I mean, I felt heroic in the Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
You know.
God of War 2 made me feel really badass.
God of War, yeah. I would say pretty much all the God of War games make you feel like kind of a badass.
Yeah. 3, I don't know, but by the time I got halfway through 3, I was like, Kratos, you're fucking it all up, man. Why are you destroying the world? It's just revenge. Like, if you kill the mother of nature, then, like, nature will be destroyed.
Yeah.
But I got God of War 2 because you literally go to the underworld and then like fight your way to the Sisters of Fate and literally rewrite reality in order to be like, nuh-uh, I didn't die. I fucking lived and then I punched Zeus, bitch. And it's like, okay, all right.
Yeah. Saints Row.
Okay.
The like 3 or 4, one of those two felt pretty badass. I don't know about heroic, but definitely felt like a badass.
I don't know, was it the beginning of 4 when you're climbing the rocket to Aerosmith?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good moment.
Yeah.
I can say that, like, you know what? When it comes to being heroic and badass, both, by the time you've plowed through all 25 to 40 hours of a Yakuza game and get to the end, and Kiryu Kazama is punching somebody in the face so hard.
Yeah, no, I can agree with you on that. The
blowing
Yakuza
up
games,
the Millennium Tower for the 5th time. Yeah. Because, like, you know, it's funny when you ask that question, I don't think that any of the Soulsborne games fall into that. I don't ever feel like heroic at the end of a Soulsborne game. I'm always just kind of like, whew, all right.
I scraped by that.
Got a lot to think about here. Well, I mean, you know, think about like Dark Souls 1. It's like you either light the fire or you let the world go dark. And then, you know, in 3, you kind of do that in every one of them. And neither one of those is a very good ending. And then in Bloodborne, it's like, oh, was it all a dream? Are you a puppet of a Cthulhu or are you a Cthulhu? Those are your 3 ending choices. And it's like, well, none of this makes me feel badass. All of it makes me feel like just covered in elder slime.
Yeah.
Gross. Let's see. I feel like that when it comes to feeling heroic and badass, I got to put a lot of Japanese games on that list because they tend to be so long that by the time you get to the end of a JRPG, you just like this epic quest where then you're fighting a god, right? And it kind of makes sense. Like at the end of Final Fantasy 13-3 Lightning Returns, it's like, the world is coming to an end. It's been thousands of years. It's the end of days. And you, Lightning, are the arbiter of the Lord, like fixing everything before the end of the world.
Yeah.
So when you get to the end of that one, it's kind of like, well, shit, man. It's, no matter what happens, the world is going to end. And so that was a weird game. Good game. I actually quite liked it, but weird. I don't know. Anything else that comes to mind? Super Mario Brothers? Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yeah.
Fire Pro Wrestling? I'm sure there's other stuff out there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the Resident Evil games, when you get to the end, start to I don't know. Like, it was RE4 where at the end you're riding the jet ski with Ashley or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Or in RE5 when you're punching the boulders
with your shoulder. Yeah.
Fighting T-Rex Wesker or whatever, Lava Wesker. How did that game get to where it got to? Who knows? I'm sure.
Who knows, but I'm kind of glad it got there.
I'll tell you what, even though it's a glorified QuickTime event, and I mentioned it earlier as one of the shittier things that Capcom has done, you want heroic and dramatic and badass. Asura's Wrath has some moments. The second mission of Asura's Wrath is where like the big stone Buddha is punching the earth and you're just below the hand, like like fighting back.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those. Okay, let's see. Kate writes in and says, "Dear wonderful people of Rage Select, I want to say thank you and I love y'all for the constant videos, podcasts, and Patreons. You can help me get through the week. And I started working in the art department at my film school just by coming to learn how to turn my I started working in the art department at my film school just by coming to learn how to turn my Nerf gun into a space gun. I'm not saying that the art department is the thing that I'll fall in love with, but at what point did you find the thing that you wanted to do? That certain thing that made you wake up in the morning, and how did you know? Your little patron college student, Kate."
Some would say I'm still looking.
Yeah?
No.
Hey, you know what? I've talked to numerous people that are, I feel like figuring out what you want to do with your life is best done when you're like 30, right? Like I don't know. When you're younger, I feel like a lot of times you maybe don't have an eye on like what the long term is, but you sit at the bridge at 30 where you can you have enough knowledge to kind of know what'll work and what you're interested in and to know yourself.
So I will say, I kind of knew that I wanted to do something with, like, it's weird because like growing up for a long time, I wanted to do a lot of video stuff. Like I wanted to do a lot of like cinematography. Like I actually went to college to major in cinematography. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I went to the wrong college, and I went to a college that basically just said, "We've got your money. Who the fuck cares about you?"
Boo.
And literally, the class that I took, like the first day, I'm sure I've told this before, the teacher was like, "Hey, who here wants to be in film? Like not as an actor, but just wants to work in film. Doesn't matter what, if you want to be a grip or whatever, who here wants to do something in film?"
Right.
Raise your hand. Okay, everyone but one person, put your hand down. That's how many of you will actually get to do it, because if you really wanted to do that, you'd be in Hollywood and not here in my classroom.
Yeah.
Also, this is the last time you'll ever see me in this class for the entire semester. I'm going to have nothing but substitutes and have y'all watch like old movies, which watching the old movies was cool, but it was just like, if the teacher's not going to teach me if the teacher's not going to teach me what I need to know to get to the stuff that I want to learn, then fuck you. This is not the right school, so I dropped out.
Yeah, like the idea that somebody's going to come in the first day is going to be like, well, most of you aren't going to get to do this thing, and it's like, bitch, that's not the you're supposed to teach everybody, and then we'll all go out and either fail or succeed on our own.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be like, well, only 1 in 50 of you will get to do this, so I'm just not going to teach 49 of you because you...
Yeah, well, it turned out that the teacher was he had dreams of being like this movie, like TV star or something like that, or being like some famous star for something, and then basically had all his dreams dashed, and all he could be was like a movie reviewer who then became a teacher at the college that I was at. And
Okay.
like that was the highest his career would ever going to go, and he was very bitter about it all.
Sure.
So it was very much transitioned to everybody else, but no, I it's also interesting because as far as like podcasting, because I also, I it's weird because like before YouTube became a thing,
Yeah.
what people do on YouTube now is what I wanted to do on the internet.
Yeah.
I'll sit here and make every excuse to why it never happened, and a lot of it's and I'll tell you most of it's my fault for just not doing it. But it was also because I didn't have the equipment, I didn't have the necessary people around me at the time to help do what I was trying to do.
Yep.
And those are all excuses. Those are all bad excuses, but they're somewhat valid, somewhat not valid. And so there is a part of me that is a little bit jaded because, I see people doing all these great things, and I'm like, that could have been fucking me.
Yep.
But if not for these things that weren't around when I wanted to do it, these things that they have it all easy now. But it's funny because like I had never thought of podcasting as a thing for a long time.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine was like, hey, I do this comics podcast. You're new in town and we're friends. You want to if you don't have anything to do and you want to do something, why don't you come and sit down? You won't be on it, but you can watch us record. Like, you thought that was such a cool idea that someone was watch them record their podcast. In hindsight, I couldn't care less, but watching them, I'm like, so they're just recording on shitty mics and they're putting it on the internet and people are listening to it. And then slowly over time, I got actually given a mic when they actually had enough money to afford more than 2 microphones, and got given a mic and got on it. And then that podcast ended, and me and one of the guys from that podcast went and started Geek Bombast. And that kind of is what grew that, because I actually have a lot of love for podcasting.
Yeah.
So much that I kind of miss doing it on a more regular basis. Since Geek Bombast ended, like recently.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like I start doing it. I talk a lot. Like I used to joke that like, oh, podcasting is great because I like to talk. That's also why I do phone support. I like to talk, so I do a job where I talk. And it's true. I joke, but it's true. I do like to talk, and I ramble for hours on end when I talk to people.
Yeah.
And I don't just like try to dominate the conversation. I have conversations with people, but I like to talk. Like there was a point where I kind of wanted to get into voice acting because it's acting with my voice, and I feel like I can do that.
Yeah.
But I never really pursued it, and I kind of wished I had. But with that, even that's how I discovered I love podcasting and stuff like that. Would I like to do more than just podcasting? Yeah, I would like to do a lot of whole bunch of stuff, and I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do as a career. And I'm in my mid-30s now, and it's I don't know what if that's sad or whatever, but
No.
yeah,
I I don't think so, but I mean, I just like new stuff. I mean, my experiences, I feel like, somewhat similar to yours. I was shaking my head quite a bit when you were talking about excuses, because the thing is that, like, in the early days of what were Let's Plays or YouTube, like, me and my friend group all just played a whole lot of video games, and we could totally have done exactly what we're doing now. We could totally have podcasted and done that stuff. But one of the major drawbacks in the beginning was that, like, this shit was expensive.
Oh no, it was.
Like, video capture was like really expensive.
Yeah.
Like really expensive. And editing software, before the Adobe Creative Cloud was, I mean, they're like $20 or $30 a month or something like that, or is it $50 a month for the thing? Which is not super cheap.
Or sometimes if you got like a really decent capture card, it would come like with piece of shit editing software.
Right.
Like I know I had some of that. Like that's actually how I actually found out that I kind of don't hate editing.
Yeah.
In high school is because my mom bought me a video card that also had a capture card built on it. I don't even know why I specifically bought that video card, but when I found out it had that capability, I was constantly recording things to my to my computer. I pirated a lot of stuff. Like I would actually like go rent movies and then record them to my computer so that I could watch them later.
Yeah.
And then return the movie.
I got a whole book full of burned
Yeah,
DVDs.
but this was stuff that I wouldn't download because the internet wasn't that around at that time. I mean, it was around, but it wasn't that pronounced to allow for that. But I would just make it myself. And then also, like, I got really into editing, like, anime music videos back when there was a big craze on the internet for that.
Yep.
And I even made some of those myself. They were fucking terrible. They were goddamn terrible, and no one's ever seen them.
Yeah.
But I actually enjoyed that process of doing it.
Sure.
Which is, again, another thing that kind of led me to, I want to get into film. I want to edit. I want to direct. I want to do all this stuff. I don't necessarily need to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
But, you know.
The thing is, I mean, even going back to what I was saying before about hardware stuff, I mean, like, I've been doing this for Rage Select is 5.5 years old. I was doing it for about 2 years at Spill before that. It's about 7 years, right? Yeah. Back when we started, you know, we're still using the same mics. We started with a Rock Band mic, but like we're using the same brand of microphones that I had. In fact, these are actually the same microphones.
Yeah.
But like the capture cards were a few $100s. The microphone and mixers and that stuff is a few $100s, and you could kind of build that stuff up. Like, you also have to remember that there was a time, I mean, like 5 years earlier than that, 5 years before. So wait, was it 2018? So subtract 7 years, you'll get 2011, maybe a few years before that, 2010, 2009. Like, the H.264 codec for encoding MP4 files was still new around that time.
Yeah.
Like, rendering out a full-sized AVI file was like a huge project.
Fucking Real Player was... There was a time where Real Player was like the shit as far as like early QuickTime and Real Player were like the two primary formats that everything had to be in.
Right.
And then what you're talking about, that format came out and everyone went, oh... Real Player's garbage.
Oh yeah,
and QuickTime is kind of not great either.
I've got a milk crate down there that has eight, I think, 2 terabyte Western Digital external hard drives that are just the archives of the things over the 5 years of Rage Select that we have recorded, just the files, just audio and video and podcasts and whatnot. Right, like. A 2 terabyte drive in 2009 was expensive. Like, you had to have some, like, the prosumer market was it was there. I have no doubt that it was there, but like, it was not cheap to get into this game.
It wasn't.
And the return on investment early on in the internet when it came to ads and stuff like that, you know, was low, right? Like, I'm lucky the fact that when we launched Rage Select, it was like a month and a half after that when Peter came to me and was like, have you heard about this Patreon thing? And like, if Patreon hadn't been a thing, if Patreon hadn't existed, we would not be sitting here at episode 200 because the YouTube payout was garbage at the best possible, the zenith of all the hits of Rage Select. YouTube payout, total garbage, right? So there are so many different things now that I don't feel like when you say, oh, the only, you know, I feel like you took on a little bit too much weighting. You're like, I didn't do it. And it's like, yeah, but it was harder. It was way harder back then. Even, you know, just recording software. Audacity wasn't a thing at points. And Audacity sucks way less now than it used to.
Oh, yeah. No, I specifically went out and spent the money on a MacBook so I could use GarageBand to record podcasts because Audacity was fucking garbage.
Fucking SoundForge Pro is like $400. Still, you know... This stuff was not cheap to get into. So in any case, to actually answer the question, instead of just complaining, what point did you find that thing that you wanted to do? My own personal story was I was working a technical support job for the third time. I was working at Dell, paid all right, was bummed out by it, didn't enjoy my life, wanted to try something. Basically, I'd had an open invitation from my original thought was I'm going to become a bartender. I had a bunch of people in the service industry. I'm going to bartend or bar back or whatever at night, and then during the day I can go to school. Wisely, my father was like, no, if you start working with service industry people, I know you, motherfucker, my son. He usually calls me both of those, my motherfucking son. You will just end up getting wasted and like having sex and going to parties all the time. He didn't actually say that part, but he knew well enough that that's what would happen. So here, let me get you into the world of podcasting. No, but so then he basically agreed that if I could work part-time at my job, that he would pay the other half of my part-time so that I had a full-time salary, and then that other half would be going to school. And so I just went to ACC, the community college, and I basically took art classes. And then eventually I did an animation class, and I was like, oh shit, like it's a real rush animating something, drawing a bunch of things and taking pictures of them and then being like, oh, I am a god, I create life itself with my pencil. But what's strange about it is that I only decided to go into art because I had thoroughly convinced myself that nobody would ever have any interest in listening to me talk or talk about video games. And animated, went to Spill, worked for Corey. We had a team meeting one time, and I remember saying to him very early on in the loading bar where they did a review for Fallout New Vegas, and they spent the entire time talking about how shitty Bethesda was. And I was like, actually, Bethesda didn't make Fallout New Vegas. That was Obsidian Entertainment, who made KOTOR 2 and blah, blah, blah. And Corey was like, oh, you actually know things about this. So think about, the original lineup of the loading bar. And I would like this very much to not come off as any amount of shade. I'm not trying to start any beef or whatever. But Corey's a movie guy. Jason Murphy plays video games, but it's like, Jason doesn't know the difference between looking at a 60 frame per second video game or a 30 frame per second video game. He couldn't tell you who the developer was for blah, blah, blah. Like, Jason is a person who likes to play video games, but he's not all like in it. He's not like, holy shit, they're going to close down Telltale. They just announced a new blah, blah, blah. Right? He's just like, what game is out? Ooh, that looks fun. I'll play that. Nick, similar. In fact, when you look at all of the other guys on the loading bar, like Nick and Jason and Corey are all much more interested in movies than they were in video games.
Yeah.
Kevin, interested in video games.
Yes.
Ran his own video game website. Do know something about video games. Me, interested in video games. So then I just started writing the blog, and then he let me on the podcast, and then everyone knows the rest of the story from there. So
yeah.
But in all honesty, I mean, like, I talked on Witcher 3 about how I'd like to try doing some video essays, because now that I've got a little bit of time, I would be interested in maybe trying to branch out some different formats. And, there's even some other stuff, because I've been doing this same thing for 5.5 years, and there's some other stuff that I would like to try doing.
I also found that another thing that once I also tend to throw myself into something once I've decided that I like it.
Yeah.
Like, I will engross myself into comics or gross myself into movies, gross myself into video games, and I will just it's like all in or nothing.
Yeah.
For me, whenever I decide that I like something. Mm-hmm. So that is also something else that transferred into being able to do podcasts and stuff, is that I have all this all in or nothing knowledge.
Right.
That really works well for a podcasting type thing.
Sure.
Especially for such a niche, I'm a nerd, everyone else is a nerd, and I like to talk, and maybe someone might like to hear me talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also I really like looking into technology surrounding it and making it more and more portable. Mm-hmm. Like, I like the fact, my entire goal with before it ended Geek Bombast was to make it so that I could literally, on a moment's notice, go to it. Like, people didn't have to come to me; I could go to them to record.
Right.
And the fact that I could carry everything in a backpack and a small briefcase.
Yeah.
And not need anything. Like, I could 100% everything, all the mics, the mixer, my laptop, everything in stuff that I could just be carrying on me.
Yeah.
Made it all made me giggle with glee, and I started looking into stuff recently and to figure out I could probably even make it more portable than I previously had. Mm-hmm. Kind of also makes giggle with glee a little bit. So I like a lot of the technical stuff, and that kind of stuff is also interesting to me as well.
All right. One more question. Evan writes in and says, hello, Fantastic Jeff and Fantastic John. What is a band that you cannot stand in a music genre that you enjoy? Listen to a lot of classic rock and consider it to be my favorite genre, but I can never come around to enjoying the Police or the Eagles. Amen. Thanks for answering and for everything you guys do. Your loyal patron, Evan.
Kings of Leon. They can go fuck themselves.
All right.
I hate their music so much.
I hate the Doors. I do not like, I think
I like the Doors, but you know, it's not, I can understand
this is music, right?
Yeah.
So the moment that you say like I don't like band X.
Oh yeah, no,
like,
no, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, no. Like I'm, but like the first, it's like, what's a band that you hate in a genre? Fucking Kings of Leon.
Yeah.
Fucking hate every goddamn song they've ever made.
Okay.
Like with a fucking passion.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I can't really
Just
think of
Kings
any.
of Leon.
Yeah, I mean, there's other bands I don't like, but I mean, they're not really in genres that I like. So,
Right.
you know,
I'm trying to think because I like a lot of music. I'm trying to think of music that I hate, but I don't know because I don't tend to listen to music that I hate.
yeah, it's weird because like, you know, to think about music, it's like I don't actually hate any like genre of music.
Yeah.
There's just I may not like it as much. Like for example, country music. I'm not a huge country music fan.
Sure.
Having said that, you put on some fucking Willie Nelson or some from Johnny Cash or some fucking early George Strait or whatever. Yeah, I might be right there with you. You know, like fuck yeah, that's some good ass shit.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna go listening to Florida Georgia Line or where the fuck they're called.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I have no idea what that is.
I only know because they fucking appear on wrestling.
Okay.
And they're fucking whatever. Just but yeah, like I don't listen to a lot of current country music. But like if I hear a song and I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. You know, I'm not like I don't. It's weird. Like I'm trying to think about music. It's like I don't hate hip hop or rap. But I definitely don't go out of my way to listen to it.
Yeah, that's
except for today. For some reason, I was really, really, really in the mood to listen to some early Eminem. I don't know why.
all
Because
right.
I don't think I've ever really been into Eminem. But just today, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna listen to some early Eminem."
Gotta listen to some Eminem. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to take a mulligan on this one. Where I don't know. I don't care for the Doors.
No, that's perfectly valid.
There's a lot of kind of classic rock stuff that I'm not super into, but I'm not super into classic rock either. And I don't know. Like, I guess the thing that may be hanging me up about this is, you know, what is a band that you cannot stand in a music genre that you enjoy? I kind of enjoy every genre of music. So like, and I don't have like a favorite genre. I mean,
I'm trying to think in like punk or ska. Like, is there a punk or ska band that I really just do not like?
Yeah.
And
I'm having a real hard time.
I mean, the closest I can come up to, and it's actually funny because I don't hate the band, but I don't particularly like them either, is maybe Anti-Flag.
Okay.
And that's not because they don't make good music, because I do feel like they do make good music. It's just they try too hard to be Rage Against the Machine.
Okay.
But, you know, I don't know. I can't think of really, but I don't hate them though. That's the thing. Like I've actually seen them live multiple times, mostly because they opened for bands that I wanted to go see, but
Sure.
I don't hate them. So I can't really.
Yeah, I think we might be at an impasse here. So sorry, Evan. I don't know. And that is our show for this week. Mail@rageside.com is the email address if you would like to send in some questions. John, you seem like you have a thought about. Did you think of one more band?
No, I was just gonna say, and you know, more. You know, just want to reiterate. Fuck Kings of Leon.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's one way to go out. All right, bye, Kings of Leon. Go fuck yourself.
Fuck yourselves. Yeah.